Sit!
Welcome to the Couch Potato Sports Show, your internet radio home for all sports news and talk. Join Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio, and the best co-host anyone can ask for, Cuervo. We cover it all from NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, as well as indoor football and high school sports. So let's do this. Here's Sonny Clark.
All right, we are here. Take one, take two, take three. We are here on the Couch Potato. It really helps when you push the start button. You see, they fooled me. You know, you hit the live button, you got to hit the live button again. And that's what I didn't do. So take three. You're on the Couch Potato Sports Show. Good morning to everybody. I'm excited today because we haven't been on the air for a while, but we got potpourri of a lot of things to talk about in sports today. So we're all set and ready to go with that as far as that is concerned. We went a little old school on the intro, so that was kind of cool. So I tripped into that as I was going through some of the archives here on Blog, what we did on Blog Talk Radio and things. So we brought that back. I just kind of like that one. So as far as that is concerned. And that being said, of course, waiting for a third time. I was actually going to keep them not added to the stage, but I'm going to bring them on anyway. But as I mentioned in the first one, I never missed this guy. I never missed the guy that will go around throwing the punches everywhere. Good morning, the People's Pope, Trey Mack. How you doing, my friend? We're actually on air.
I mean, I've already said how I'm doing about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Things have changed since then.
Uh-huh.
So, I'm kind of like at an all-time low, but we'll get there.
We'll get there. All right. Yeah. And he mentioned he had a headache and no medicine. I said go to the store. He said,
and I got you on these last couple hours.
Yeah, so see, a little rewind, but I will bring this up. Going into our season for high school football for the Saxy Mustangs is going to start. We've got some new sponsors for that, which we bring them in up on the show. I'm going to bring that out here. JSP Heat and Air, new sponsor here on the Couch Potato Sports Show, as well as the Saxy Mustangs games that start on August 30th. Headed on over to Coppell, Texas for the first game. First two games out of district, and then they jump into 8 games within district. We're going to bring in our regular crew, of course, the Eagle Eye Bill Sarnell along with Big Red Butch Wesson. But wanted to get this out. The guy that helps us also on those calls, okay, graduated college, won the only dollar bill, graduates college. Congratulations. Of course, we haven't seen him since he made that bad prediction about the Chicago Bears winning the NFC North, kind of like my NFC West, the Dallas Cowboys winning the division, last week. But he says he's going to start joining us now since he's graduated, and get in with us a little bit more during the NFL season. So looking forward to having him in there. So you're also, if you ever get a crazy notion to come on down for high school football, I'll throw you in the booth for a while if you ever wanted to do that kind of thing. So, so what is on the agenda for the People's Pope today besides the show?
I got to go to work later, and that's about it.
Got it.
So,
now, that being said, I did not watch Money in the Bank, so we're not going to talk about it because I want to watch it. I don't want to be, I don't want to have all the things going on. So I'm going to watch that today, and then we'll talk about that maybe next week and everything. But leading up to Money in the Bank, a lot of good drama, a lot of good things. But interestingly enough, we were talking, I don't know if you remember this. You may. It was about a year to a year and a half ago. Old Sonny was slobbing and just getting all over Dominic Mysterio about his work in the ring and things of the sort, things that have kept him alive, using his mouth and everything, which kept him to get the heat and everything else that he had got. I'm going to tell you, the last pay-per-view, and the last matches I've seen, this guy's gotten a lot better in the ring. I'm almost, no, I'm not almost. I am impressed with one Dominic Mysterio. It's actually, I liked him because of his mouth, criticized him for his in-ring performance, but still liked him because of his mouth, which goes to show that this is an entertainment business more so than a wrestling business. And within a year and a half, we've seen him getting so much better in the ring. I don't know if you've noticed or if you even watched Dominic Mysterio.
Well, I've noticed, and I've also noticed that this wouldn't have happened had Liv not been next to him.
I agree.
And I think she has brought out a lot of charisma from him that he didn't have then. I think the fact that he feeds off the energy the crowd is giving him, and that's a huge get for them. And notice,
hard to teach, isn't it?
What?
It's hard to teach, isn't it?
Well, I mean, either you have it or you don't, or you get it eventually, and he got it eventually. Kind of like when I did not to relate to me, but I mean, when I was a wrestler, I didn't have it at all.
Right.
When I became a commentator, I started to get it, and then once I threw that into the manager part, obviously I had that would work for me in a very limited basis. But I made sure that my little bit of 5 seconds would go at least would be the one thing you take away from the match.
Right.
And he's done that. He's done it now. He's really leaning on the Eddie thing, and I like that. I like that a lot. Whether or not they're gonna come out and say that he's really the dad or what, I don't know. No, I don't care.
There'll be a storyline, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because here's the thing: the crowd wants that to be true, which is sad because what does it say about Ray? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I mean, Ray's never really been a heel, so this is setting him up to being a heel.
Yeah, exactly.
But then again, with the acquisition of AAA wrestling, and I won't give any of that away, but I will say this: it is cool to see Conan working alongside WWE. Because it never would have happened 20 years ago.
Oh, I love Conan. I've always loved Conan. When he got into the NWO, he even got better with. That's hard to even say, but he even got better when he joined the NWO back in the day.
He was able to bring out his personality because AAA wrestling is all about the lucha stuff and all about the flippity flops and then this and that, the no selling, the high energy video game type wrestling.
Did you watch it?
Did I watch it? No.
Oh.
No. It's I went to North Carolina a few weeks ago, and my good buddy Randy Wayne had told me when I talked to him about AEW, for instance, what do you think about that? And he's like, there's 47 flavors of ice cream, and maybe you're not going to like every single flavor that's out there.
Of course.
So that's kind of how I'm looking at wrestling these days. There's a lot going. Last night, one of our listeners to our show, Offshoots TV, which has been off the air for 2 weeks, by the way, bringing it back hopefully this week. Me and Mike have got a big conversation ahead of us about that. One of our listeners, Babs, was going on Facebook and just announces to the world, "I'm not going to watch Money in the Bank. I'm not going to waste my time on only 4 matches for a show." I see the big.
That all there was 4.
That's all there was. But the thing is, every match meant something.
Mm-hmm.
So why not give me every match that means something than just some fluff in between? I mean, whether or not now I watched Triple H at the end of the show. He said they had over 17,000 seats sold in that thing. Didn't look it, but I mean, unless you're Dave Meltzer, I mean, you're not going to really heavily look into the attendance wise, but I mean, the crowd was into it. It's an LA crowd. So, I mean, to get an LA crowd into a wrestling show, that's hard to do.
It
And
is,
now,
because they're so fickle about their entertainment.
and one of our big topics of conversation, me and Mike, who we were kind of going at it there on our group chat. WWE has announced that they had pulled from New Orleans for next year's WrestleMania, and they're going back to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Mike has taken on the front that they screwed over New Orleans, and New Orleans, didn't have, New Orleans getting a raw end of the deal, and Vegas two WrestleManias in a row. Like this done happened before, WrestleManias 4 and 5. I mean, and they're casino
Atlantic
crowd.
City, right?
Yeah, that was Atlantic City. I mean, it's casino crowds, and there's
Trump and them.
yeah, and it's the way I see it is the media was so huge for WrestleMania this year because you're in Las Vegas. Had you gone to New Orleans, it's not like the Super Bowl. Everybody and their mother knows the Super Bowl is going to take place that Sunday.
Yep.
They might not know where it's at, but then that's where the ESPNs and everybody else goes out there and they film live and everything else. But that's football. That's NFL. That's Universal. WWE, while they say that they're the WWE universe, I mean, not everybody caters to them. So to go to the entertainment capital of the world and do it again, why not? But I mean, and I understand Mike's perspective on it, and we're going to argue quite a bit about it. But the thing is, it's not like when TKO and WWE win this whole thing with New Orleans, it wasn't like they didn't sit there and say, look, we have nothing written down. If we did, we wouldn't go against that probably because you could sue us.
Yeah,
that's a breach of contract. But we're not doing that. We had a handshake deal. Sometimes handshake deals don't always work. I mean, well,
didn't they make it up to him? I think giving them SummerSlam.
Yeah, and of course, thing is, well, it's not WrestleMania. You're right, it's not WrestleMania. But
it's not, but it's one of the top. It's number 2 on the 4, right? It's number 2 on the 4.
I mean, considering that SummerSlam is going to go 2 days a year, as far as Saturday and Sunday. I mean, it's going to be one of their deals that they're going to do to try to hype up the biggest show in the summer. In my opinion, I think the Royal Rumble's bigger. But because I think over time the Rumble's meant a lot more.
You're right. I agree with you. You're right.
But then again, they have 2, and they can always do 2 Rumbles and 2 nights there because they already got, the women's and the men's, so you can break that up and not give us 2 in one night.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a hard watch. I watch 2 Rumbles, and that's 2 hours of just. I mean, you talk about having spending money or not spending, but to spend your time to watch only 4 matches in one show. Try watching really just 2.
Right.
Minus the fluff they put in between. And sometimes that fluff is a title match. So, case in point, Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens this past year. So, I mean, look, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and it's hard to criticize people who are making money like they're making. They're printing their own money. And they're finding new ways of. I mean, they're putting sponsors on the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Last night, if you got thrown to the turnbuckle, you had a blank one at the top, WWE in the middle, and then the 7-Eleven one at the bottom. So obviously Slurpee cups are coming out soon. So that's just that's how they're doing business. And the thing is, UFC did the same thing, and they made their money. And by the way, I know that there's been a lot of cuts recently.
Yes.
By WWE, but again, watch this show on watch Money in the Bank, and I'll answer some of your questions. But
no, I that's what I was saying. I heard about the R-Truth making.
Yeah, but it worked. I mean, even Triple H says, "Hey, you enjoyed that, didn't you?" I mean, yeah, that's part of the business. That's part of show business.
Show business also. R-Truth will be back. That's it. When that whole thing.
Well, no, but here's the thing: we may not be getting R-Truth. We may not be getting Ron Killings.
Could be. Yes, correct. I think that's what we're going to get wherever he goes. Which, by the way, whoever decides to pick that up and maybe pay some money, that will get a draw. And you see, and we've talked about it, especially on the lower level that we were on. Asses in seats means a lot. And say whatever you want about Ron Killeen / R-Truth. I loved Ron Killings back in the TNA days. I really did. But I mean, the entertainment value of what he was doing, he got it. He understood what was going on. Listen, R-Truth can wrestle. As much as the goose around and everybody looks at, that guy can wrestle. I watched him in TNA. Dude, I'm telling you right now, that guy knows what he's doing in the ring when he has to. But guess what? That's not what his character was calling for. And what he did is he molded his character. He made it. You say whatever you want now. Granted, I was never a fan of this, 24/7 thing, but he's the only reason why I kind of even got interested into it. 52 times or something like that. Some kind of silly thing that he was champion. But he molded what he needed to do. 17 years in WWE. Let me tell you something. That's a hard gig that's Undertaker. Although Undertaker's 20 and Triple H. That's up there in the upper echelons of the big wigs and the big superstars of the WWE. You don't last 17 years.
Not really, but the thing is, though, is that our former boss, who we used to work with, SOAR, Bobby Horn, used to say, R-Truth has a job in WWE because he makes Vince McMahon laugh. And there's value in that in his
Absolutely.
eyes. Now, whatever his eyes could be different from what TKO is thinking. And, at the end of the day, R-Truth doesn't wrestle every single night. R-Truth doesn't do, they're paying him a lot of money to do a lot of fluff backstage. Right. So while UFC is trying to be a sports entity with UFC, they got kind of the entertainment value of that with WWE. But then again, like I said, he'll
get a Legends contract sooner or later. I tell you right now.
Well, but here's the thing. You know what happened last night with him, right?
I just know he made an appearance. I don't know what happened. I swung right. I don't know where it was, what the context of him being there. I just saw it and I said facts because I knew it was about, that he made an appearance, but I don't know what the appearance was.
Well, can I just go on and tell you, because you're already kind of you're going around that you're
just leave it right there. We'll only talk about him.
Okay, he showed up and caused scene of the match.
Say that again. I didn't hear you.
He came out and interfered in the match with Cena and Logan Paul and Cody Rhodes and
awesome.
and Jey Uso, and caused scene of the match.
Awesome. That is awesome.
So again, did we get swerved? I threw out a new TikTok channel to where I got for like 30 seconds or something, I talk about news that have come up, and I had over 1,000 people view the R-Truth thing that I threw out there. Mm-hmm. Now it's like, you got to remember, things change on a dime, like changing venues to WrestleMania. They change quickly. As I told Mike, cards subject to change. And that's the nature of the beast.
Absolutely. So,
but I will say this though. They interviewed Naomi after the show last night, and she talked about, and on WWE programming, because you can do this now, she talked about why when she left after the Sasha Banks thing,
mm-hmm.
How she left to move to TNA, and talked about finding herself in TNA. And I was like, boy, that would not have happened years ago had Vince been there.
Yeah.
Because it just been, I went away.
That's a great thing to the show, by the way. I get the quote-unquote tradition that you shouldn't see behind the curtain, but man, behind the curtain is so interesting. And the things, why things happen, what they don't, and things the things behind the curtain, I think, for inquiring minds. It's the reason why I went and did what I did with you. I just wanted to see kind of, even on that smaller level, what this was all about and how it was. But back in the day, just so that you know, I grew up on watching wrestling. Dick the Bruiser, the Crusher, Andre, all these guys back in the day. I grew up on it, and these guys, Ric Flair, they maintained their character 24/7. I mean, 24/7. The honky tonk man thought he was a honky tonk man. I'm telling you, right? I met that man, and that honky, and he always talked about himself in the third person. He was so great. But the but you didn't get what was behind the scenes. You didn't get to see that. You saw them in the airport. They tell you to go screw yourself and move on because they're staying in character more so than the baby faces that would sign it.
I've had times at a sword show where the little kid walks up to me and asks for my autograph, and I drew him a straight line, and I said, "You got to pay for the rest, kid." I mean, exactly. And like the parents look at me in total shock, like, "Oh my God, why would you do that to a kid?" I'm like, because once he starts believing that I'm a real human being, then everything I do out there is bullshit.
Yes, and no one's going to believe your shtick.
And the thing is, I mean, and you know, and a lot of guys who sit there, and this is where I think it's kind of detrimental to the business, because they're so tight with the crowd, because they want the crowd to go buy their shirts and everything else, that, you know, that they'll pose for pictures and they'll pose for this and pose for that, and it takes the value away from who they are. Now, if they're a good guy, they have to do all that crap.
Absolutely.
If you're a villain, or if you're riding that fence, are you or aren't you, then show us that, you know, because. Exactly. I mean, let the crowd. Our good buddy Robert Martin, who, you know, at source shows would always, you know, come up to us and give us all sorts of crap, or at least me all sorts of crap. He'd love you, but well, whatever. I mean,
I was the baby face.
He still believes in Christmas, sir. But I mean, the thing is, though, is that I mean, with him, and he knows I'm playing a part. But the thing is, I'm always going to sit there and do the character thing in front of him, because who else is watching?
Plus, he gets it too.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's actually kind of gotten into a little bit of it. It's kind of interesting to watch those, that and Tony, what they are and what they've done and things of that. So it's really
and I'll be honest with you. I mean, there's like, I thought about this last night, because, you know, when I saw that Sword's getting Mark Cardona coming in for a Sword Mania.
Yes, and I'm actually kind of helping a little bit. We're trying to get a venue that will hold that. I mean, it's hard to get, they're thinking about doing it at the Sports Garden, and I was talking, that place is just going to be too small for that kind of thing. Woo woo. Everybody knows who he is, man. You know, so and not only that, by the way, there are certain people that can go on the indies and make just as much money as they did in the WWE.
Well, here's the thing, and this is where I think you have to have realistic expectations, right?
Right.
If you are an up and coming wrestler, and you see Matt Cardona coming in there bringing the kind of money he's bringing in, he had value to his name beforehand.
Absolutely.
So he has built value long before this entire thing happens.
Yep.
If you were starting out and you're looking at him going, God, I can make my own wrestling figures now, and I can go do that, I can do that. No. You have to build your value. And that's the thing. These kids, you know, they don't want to put in the work. You know, one of the reasons why I don't want to go back is because, you know, when as a sound guy, I'm out there promoting the show a lot more heavily than the guys in the ring.
Absolutely.
Then maybe I'm overstepping my boundaries. You know, and I think, you know, as someone who, I mean, and I still have a love for the business, but I don't have a love for the travel for that. Now, I say that, and I went to North Carolina recently, but there was barbecue involved, so I had reasons.
Yeah, you had to get over it. Yeah, of course.
I mean, I went. It's amazing too, because wrestling out there on the East Coast is so different than it is here in Texas or in Oklahoma, because they talk about the Rock and Roll Express. They talk about all the Carolina stuff that took place back in the day, and they still have a lot of
wrestling was big, baby.
Yeah, and the thing is that you know, they have a lot of Tommy Rich stories, which are just mind-blowingly stupid when you hear them. But it's Tommy Rich for you. All right, baby. But I mean, that's just what he do. You know, I don't fault what they're trying to do with Matt Cardona, bringing him in because he's a draw, and they're trying to put asses in seats. My only issue with these little independent companies bringing guys like him is that then there's an expectation. When the expectation is not met, the next time they want to come out to see a show, basically they're coming out for once a year.
Yes.
And you can't build a foundation off once a year shows unless that's what your show is rigged around. Like my friend Randy Wayne, who runs 2 shows out in the client a year, called Heroes and Legends, but they're almost like nonprofit organizations to where they raise money for the community college out there. The show we did raised over $2,000 for a scholarship for the community college out there. I mean, it's a good problem to have, and the show was already paid for by them by sponsors.
Great problem to have.
Yeah. So, I think I mean, I've been a part of shows where I worked at NAWA when they brought in Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy had connections to Randy Wayne and the North Carolina people out there. They all came out there for that show, and guys like James Drake, who went over to TNA for AEW for a little bit.
Yes. Yeah.
And for, they were all a big part of it. We had Keith Lee at that show. Before Keith Lee made it big on WWE. So,
now he's in AEW.
AEW,
I haven't heard a lot from him, but
he's kind of spared out a little bit because, his injury and sickness that he's got to deal with.
And that's what happens over at AEW anyway. They bring him in on a 6-month hope push and see what they can do with them. They don't invest enough time in reality. And they
don't know how to.
Huh? Well, they shouldn't have to if they got star power. But
the thing is, Keith Lee has star power because he was getting that in NXT. WWE and injuries and maybe his attitude got in the way of a lot of that stuff.
Completely agree.
Because there's a lot of guys who put in the work and they never get what they think they deserve.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Keith. Don't get me wrong, I like Keith a lot, but maybe the age caught up to him.
Oh yeah,
the thing is, your age can catch up to you, but if you're AJ Styles, you don't worry about that.
Absolutely.
AJ
Styles don't need to go on. If he is not on the show, he doesn't need to go to the independents.
But I will say this: it was nice on Monday Night Raw to have that little bit of CM Punk versus AJ Styles and a triple threat match with El Grande Americano.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to see those two get in the ring. And I think there's so much mutual respect with those two guys because they've been down the road together and then separate for so many years that to have that one little thing of where they're shaking hands in the ring and they're paying tribute to each other, that's awesome because those are 2 old school vets who get it.
Yep.
And being champion right now may not be in the cards for either one of them, but being the top draw regardless. And I know there's a lot of AEW fans that are so bitter about CM Punk and the fact that he left the way he did and everything else. He burned a lot of bridges, but you know what? What bridges he burned right now?
Exactly. I actually saw him on that training show.
Yeah.
We were talking about that with him working with the younger folks and stuff.
Yeah, and the thing is, he really likes the current climate, which is always a big plus. I don't think he's ever been comfortable in the climate more like he has now.
Right.
And he's making money.
At the top make a big difference, and he's making a lot more money.
And the thing is, he's making a lot of money. He's not working as much as he had to before. Life is good. He can see his wife more times than not now than he used to back in the day, back when she used to travel with him. So, yeah, it's a new atmosphere. And whether or not there's real animosity between him and Seth or him and Drew or him and whoever, the fact is they're all making it work very well. And they're putting together very... So, Trey, how do you feel about R-Truth? I don't think they ever released him. I think it's a swerve. But his
contract. By the way, his contract's not up for another couple of months. So
yeah, or so they say.
So because
behind closed doors they could re-up with them. Look. Do you know how many Ron Cena shirts he sold after Saturday Night's Main Event?
I heard. By the way, I heard they pulled those. They keep with the swerve. I heard they pulled those T-shirts because of that whole thing. And by the way, that's just what I heard. I don't believe it because you don't you don't stop when money is just printing itself.
Dude.
By the way, I want that shirt. I gotta get me.
Listen.
One of those.
WWE is printing money.
Yeah.
They found ways to print money in a world where we all know everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did any of us know R-Truth was going to show up there last night and do what he did? No, not at all. And the thing is, I'm so happy for Ron Killings, the human being, because his star has never been this brighter in WWE. As much hard work as he put in, being the one guy that made Brock Lesnar laugh on camera, to being that guy who is always the locker room inspiration guy they'll sit there and just make you laugh and make you enjoy coming to work. Yeah, I heard that.
And this quote right here just tells you a lot about what. Listen, that is what's being put out. I'm just telling you right now, you can't wear the and that may be true because of what the storyline of what they're trying to do. But it also makes it look like they're being a bunch of assholes, and you can't wear a Ron Killing shirt.
Well, think this way: WWE has they're in a bind-one situation. They know Cena's gone after this year. There's still half the crowd that still goes, "Let's go, Cena."
Yep, exactly.
You think they're going to do that with R-Truth in the match? No, they love R-Truth.
Yep, they love R-Truth, but they also got a lot of money, put into Cena. Because Cena's not doing this for free. Let's get serious here. John Cena's being paid big time, and the reason why
by the way,
regardless of his character, he puts asses in seats, regardless.
And by the way, for those who sit there and go, John Cena doesn't put over anybody, he lost last night and let R-Truth beat the hell out with the belt.
And that also, but just to let everybody know. He is great at that, and another person that's great at that, and he hasn't done it lately because he hasn't been in the ring, but before he went out, Triple H, putting people over like you would not believe.
Oh, dude. His WrestleMania record's atrocious.
It's horrible, but he took on what was going on.
I need to see a heel turn with R-Truth and make him look like a little kid. But it works.
It works. And listen. And that's one thing about wrestling. It can take you back years and make you a kid again. And for little Jimmy, it's just funny for us, and we should take that trip back in nostalgia days when we were younger, when we had an imaginary friend.
This goes back to what I said earlier: 47 flavors.
Yep.
I mean, for one person that doesn't want to see cartoon Ron Killings. There's 10 people that do.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, TKO and WWE, say whatever you want about them, it's business first. I mean, so they know exactly what's going on as far as that is concerned. As far as and by the way, I actually that's probably working up and getting into next year's and trying to push Solo because I actually like Solo more than I like Jacob Fatu. However, when Jacob Fatu wrestled Ajax, so we got a little connection there. So we, the little line that we have been able to see and get to see Jacob Fatu wrestling Ajax was amazing.
I see Jacob Fatu listening backstage to what Triple H wants him to do. Yeah, the little things to get him over with the crowd, and it's worked.
Absolutely. Not only that, the backstory of where he came from, what his life was to where he is now. It's a 20-year story coming together, getting him where he needed to be in his life. In wrestling, in life as well as in wrestling, comes full circle. And there you go. You got a superstar on your hands.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
What's going on with your microphone? Because you sound like you're on the radio.
I don't know. It's the same one I've always used. It might be you. I don't know. I'll find out. Hopefully, it doesn't sound as bad as you're making it sound like. But no, everything's the same. So
okay, just checking.
All right. Hey, Anthony, do I sound like I'm on the radio? Well, I'm the hardest working man in sports radio. So maybe. Friday. Anyway, and one more. I want to kind of. We're going to talk about one more thing within wrestling, and then because I got some great stuff, and it's not just NFL. I got potpourri of stuff to talk about.
Well, just FYI, you only got me until about 11, so yeah.
Oh, an hour and 20 minutes. We'll be okay.
Okay.
Good. All right. So the last thing I want to talk about within wrestling is a story of my favorite female wrestler and what is going on with the story and the front story and then the back story of Carmella. Now, I don't know how much you keep up with Carmella. You probably do. But story, okay. She's in the WWE, fantastic champion and everything. Asses in seats. People like Carmella, even as a heel. They love her, and I love her.
Does she put asses in seats?
Huh?
Does she put asses in seats?
I think so.
I mean,
to a certain extent.
Would asses be in the seats without her being there at the show?
Well, yes and no. I think they miss Carmella. Me personally, I think they miss a Carmella. Okay, so I miss a Carmella or something like that. She just brought something different.
Oh, she's great. I mean, she's great, and she gets who she is. That's fantastic. But I mean, the thing is, when you look at asses to seats, you're talking about main draws. And while she's good in that division as strong as it is now is never going to be what it is towards the men's. And that's not to be a sexist thing. That's just the nature of the beast. I mean,
you are tying in exactly what I'm going to head to. Okay. So you did exactly. And by the way, if we didn't get on and talk about this, you just. No,
I can't talk to you. I can't talk to you behind closed doors. You're a pain in the ass on the show. Can you imagine you off the show?
But yes, I get it. But you're absolutely right. And by the way, I think the WWE failed the women as far as the that one program. What's Evolution? Is that what they called it?
It's coming back this year, though. Evolution too.
Coming back this year, and I think they need to do that at least twice a year. I think they failed the women, by not doing that. Because I'm telling you right now, this is kind of what I was looking at. If you look at NXT draws up the ass. By the way, they sell out stadiums. It's amazing.
Well,
as far as what NXT is able to do.
They're filling up arenas, not stadiums.
Well, okay, arenas, whatever. Yeah. You know what I'm saying. I mean, they get asses in seats for NXT. And by the way,
think about this
better than the WWE show.
But think about this though. This is what they're also banking on with that as well. TNA is a part of that.
Exactly.
Now AAA is a part of that. So yes. They are going through that quote unquote forbidden door.
Yes.
That's no longer forbidden anymore. But I mean, they're going through that to pick from that as well to give a little bit of shine to those outside the company to come in and now all of a sudden Joe Hendry can now call himself a WWE superstar.
Absolutely.
Because he's been at WrestleMania.
Yes.
Although he's a TNA guy, and and he's no longer the champion.
He just lost the championship.
He did, but the thing is, unless you're Dante Smiley, you don't keep the belt forever. So I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. I mean, you win a title to lose it eventually. Bret Hart never figured that out.
Yeah.
Bret Hart never figured that out.
Bret Hart is he is the epitome of a hard hit. It's just the way it is. And we'll hit this, and then I'll continue on with what I was talking about. Moving back, TK, I don't know. I'm going to just say I don't know, but it just seems to me that with the WWE and everything else, if they are in debt, that's a good way to maybe trying to get out of it a little bit.
Well, first of all, Anthony, look, I get what your question is. Here's the thing. Until you see it from the outside like I do,
right?
The wrestling business on a fan's perspective, because the fans think they know everything, it is so toxic. It is so toxic. And people are picking sides left and right. I'm either going to go the AEW side, I'm going to go to the B side. There's no in between. You know, there's no let's all meet in the middle and let's just watch a good product if there is one to watch. People want to pick sides. People want to sit there and just cling to their jerseys as hard as they can. They're more interested in their own jersey than the players are.
Absolutely.
Which always amazes me. Which where we get in the NFL talk, we hear about players who jump from one team to the other, and then you sit there and go, that's business. Look, TKO. I can't call TKO in debt when they're printing money.
Yeah.
And the thing is, WWE has allowed themselves. Think about it this way: WWE makes more money for TKO than UFC does.
Right.
Because UFC runs once a month, maybe. And
I think they do 6 really big shows a year, and that's it.
Yeah. So, okay. But you're also putting together the same talent month in, month out, week in, week out, and you're paying those guys not as much to go around like they were back in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, but you're paying them to be more than just the guys in the ring. You're paying them to sell the lunch boxes, to sell the 7-Eleven stuff, to sell all this stuff. The branding is so important. And that's what TNA has really won the thing. And here's the thing: Mr. McMahon still owns TKO stock. He's still making money off them.
Mm-hmm.
And he can go start his own new company, 14-1, whatever he's calling that thing, which
I heard about that.
I have no idea what that's going to be.
But that's more entertainment more than
but the thing is, though, is that
does leave the door open.
I always sit there and tell people WWE has the one thing that no other wrestling company has: WrestleMania.
Right.
And until you appear at WrestleMania, Sting finally appeared right now, albeit we didn't like the outcome, but Sting appeared on WrestleMania. Some of the biggest heavy hitters have always had that one match, one way or the other, at WrestleMania. Even Bruno Sammartino appeared at WrestleMania 2 in a Rumble or in a Battle Royal. So there's so much that goes on with the branding of that. And TKO and TKO looks at the branding of WrestleMania and goes, Las Vegas 2 days. We killed the first time.
Now just those 2 days.
No, you had the entire week.
Week.
So
sometimes 2 weeks.
So you're going to go back and do it again.
Yeah. And if they are in debt, that's a good way to get out of it.
And the thing is, and I've heard people say, well, they're on cruise control right now. Are they? I mean, cruise control shows don't just give you 4 matches that mean absolutely nothing. They give you 4 matches that mean every single bit of what they're trying to do. You had a women's Money in the Bank match last night. Then you had the women's Intercontinental title match with Becky Lynch and Lyra. Then you had the men's Money in the Bank match. Then you had Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes versus John Cena and Logan Paul. What else did you need?
Exactly. And by the way, yes, I like it. One big show is great. It's wonderful. But when the capabilities of putting on 2 big shows in 2 days, that's huge. Whereas if you only can get the one ticket, you don't feel cheated in reality, because they have been doing it so well on the 2-night event.
But I remember back when they had their show at where the Giants played a bunch of years ago.
Yeah.
WrestleMania one night. A buddy of mine went out there to watch that show. That is 8 grueling hours of sitting in one seat, watching a show that had almost 16 matches.
Yes.
So why not break it up?
That's the reason why I had to cut. I mean.
Yeah. And I remember when that happened, I said on my own show, watch them go to 2 nights. And everybody who I was talking to says, no, they can't. Even the guy who went to the show, he's like, no, they can't do 2 shows like that. They have.
And they knocked it out of the park. Then add up on the fact that you throw NXT in the mix as well, selling out in the same day as night
which
one.
is a brand of its own,
Exactly.
which incorporates, again, like I said, the TNA deal. Now AAA is coming on that, and to be a part of WrestleMania weekend under the biggest brand of all in wrestling,
Absolutely.
why not?
You're going to get them all next year. You're going to get AAA. You're going to get TNA. You're going to get AEW, all within that 2 to 3 week window, all in Las Vegas.
No, Anthony, if you're a wrestling fan, which I imagine you are because you're talking about it, think of wrestling outside of what you want. Think of wrestling, how they're going to make their money, how they're going to make their shows fresh and not feel like exhaustion is going to kick in anytime soon. WrestleMania week in Las Vegas is exhausting. Don't get me wrong. It is very because you have all those shows lined up, and Peacock and YouTube and all those places. They're sitting there going, I don't know how they do it. Dude, WWE Evolve, that's still a thing, and it's basically what Sword Championship Wrestling is in Dallas, minus a bigger name and bigger cameras and bigger names, calling the matches. Sorry, Sonny, but I mean they're bigger than us. Who would have thought? But the thing is, that it's all about the brand.
Absolutely.
And that's why TKO is not. I mean, the biggest acquisition that they ever made was getting WWE. Their biggest thing they've done to keep that going is that they're not killing it with the movies and the this and that Vince was doing it with. Where when people say, "Hey, WWE pictures come out on the movie," going, "Damn."
So what?
I mean, yeah.
So yeah, they're like, so what? It's better to put them in a fan thing, and they make just as much money spending on making the movie.
Yeah, I mean,
they put it to a fan thing.
And don't get me wrong, there are some movies that they're actually pretty decent. None of them are going to be an Academy Award-winning type movie with big-time producers and directors coming in and helping. I mean, you might be able to get Halle Berry to do a movie where she works at a call center, but that's about it. Right. I mean, if Halle Berry is your bar. I mean, there's other people out there. I feel you, but I see 2 nights is good. But last year, day 1 was great and day 2 was bad. It was so bad that it was better.
That just depends on how much you're sold up onto the story from one night to the other.
And also, it's also based on your perspective. This is how you look. I can look at both nights and look at it as a whole. Yeah. And go, it's a success. Success that you and I can never really understand because we're not really glued into what they are trying to do. Exactly. Again, their off season lasts 5 minutes. They went from WrestleMania right to Monday night the next night. They turned the page just like that. It ain't like the WWE. I mean, it ain't like the NFL where you have an off season and you have the draft and you have the mini camps and you have the training camps and you have who's going to sign who and who's going to sign where and who's going to go this and that. All the stuff that we talk about normally on this show. You don't have that in WWE. It's all on the fly.
Right.
And this is where WWE succeeds and AEW doesn't. Because AEW, they're trying. I'll give them credit where credit's due. They're trying. But you have a wrestling fan trying to put together wrestling matches for himself.
Yep. And here's the funny part of this whole thing. It's back to Carmella a little bit. I'm pissed off that Corey Graves is at NXT. I'm just pissed off.
Dude, but hey, him and Conan killed on the AAA show last night.
I didn't know that. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I love Corey Graves. I think Corey Graves is the best color commentator in wrestling right now.
But here's the thing. He's.
But it goes back to that brand. It goes back to what they can sell. It goes back to what eyes will get onto it. And when you can bring in Pat McAfee.
I'm out.
I'm trying to finish my thought. And when you can bring in Pat McAfee and the millions there, it doesn't mean first of all, Pat McAfee is a better color commentator. He's just able to bring the eyes to the thing more so than Corey Graves does. He's just good at talent as far as wrestling. You bring in Pat McAfee, you bring in the millions of the people that watch this sports show and bring it into that. And that's printing money to TKO as well. So that's where a lot of that's running into. I want Corey Graves on the big shows, and we're probably just not going to get it. Now, you can argue Corey Graves and Bang. What's his name? Gosh, I love his music too. His intro, the one that's doing Raw, or SmackDown.
Joe Tessitore.
Huh?
Joe Tessitore.
No, not him. The other guy.
Wade Barrett.
Wade Barrett. Yeah, Wade Barrett. I like him. Yeah. There's no question in my mind. There's no question who's better, and this is the part that it's kind of stupid. Wade Barrett and Corey Graves. Corey Graves should be in that seat. Put Wade Barrett, but Wade Barrett did his time in NXT, so they're giving him the shot. So there's a lot of things that are going on in the moving pieces that are going on. Back to Carmella, she has a baby, and this is the story. Like if you're not paying attention or you're just only into the wrestling, Carmella had a baby and had an injury. She hadn't been on TV for 2 years, and they couldn't figure out what to do with her in reality, so they let her out of her contract. But she was like, "No, I can't wrestle, but I can be there once. I can be a manager. I can do this and that." And they just didn't have a storyline or how to fix it with Carmella. Now, Carmella's going to be back in the WWE. There's no question in my mind. Now, it might be a year, it might be 2, it could even be 3. But the relationship and what she's pushing out right now, it might be not the best thing for her husband, who is Corey Graves. She's kind of bashing the WWE a little bit, in reality. And that can't be helping the career of Corey Graves on what he wants to do, which is to get back up on the main shows in reality. He's made no secret about that, by the
way. There's an old saying that Jim Cornette used to say. He says on the show quite a bit on the Jim Cornette Experience. How can I miss you if you don't go away?
Exactly. Good point.
And the thing is that her being away from the business right now, and maybe she needs to shut up a little bit. But at that point, Corey Graves needs to, let her know. Like,
where's that conversation? No, but can you just shut up? I'm trying to get back up to the big wheel.
But the thing is though, is that would Corey Graves get these same opportunities of calling AAA matches and doing things with Conan and to be a part of this whole TNA WWE experience had he stayed on the main roster?
Maybe it may work out for him for the better. But the question is, in reality, and the business is business kind of thing. Is he making more money doing what he's doing now compared to what he was doing when he was doing the other thing? Now, granted, the contract is the contract, but when a contract comes back to renew, is he going to get the same amount of money that he was getting when he was on the main shows compared to where it's going to be pushed? Maybe he could be that guy on those shows and still be able to make the money. So there's a lot of things that we don't know about the business in the background on what may or may not be happening.
You know what, though? Here's the thing. When you and I quit doing our color commentary or commentary during the matches, Sore found somebody else.
Yes.
The show's always going to keep moving until they can't move no more.
Yeah.
Okay? With or without us, they're going to do their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We left enough to where people who would watch us and would say, it's like watching 2 shows at once.
Absolutely.
Because not only are you guys bickering, we got the match in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like we're watching, it's all over the place. But the boys liked us. Most of them did.
Mm-hmm.
Some thought we were a little bit, we strayed too far away into our own little world that, that they didn't like, that this probably wasn't so much on them. But again, give me something to work with.
Exactly. That's exactly what I would have said. Good point.
Yeah, and honestly, there are probably times the pro didn't like us.
Yeah.
Because he'd rather focus on his brand and his boys, not two loud mouths who are sitting there just going at it and doing their own thing. Again, it's hard. It was hard for us as 2 outsiders to come in there. We're not a part of the bumps and bruises thing. We were never a part of, the development of these characters and what they're going to try to do. We're calling what we see, and if we're bored by it, we kind of explain it. This is, sorry, Elijah, but no one's going to pay to see you do wrestling moves.
Absolutely.
And I remember talking to him backstage, going, dude, he's going, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Like, Okay, cut out half of that shit, and then work on the crowd. And he had his match and did the same thing he told me he was going to do. Yep. And guess what? And we were the two loudest people in the building. And when you're commentating team, when the crowd from the other end of the bar can hear what you're saying, that's a problem.
Yeah, yes. But here's the thing. We were the entertainment in reality more so than what was going on in the ring.
Which is not good for their product.
Absolutely. And sometimes you're just a little bit too big for what you're doing.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm not saying that. I mean, we had the most fun, for sure.
Oh, but the whole thing was all about having fun.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's all about fun for us. It's all about a business for a certain individual over there. Mm-hmm. And when both of them aren't hitting at the same rate, then changes are going to be made regardless of how we feel about it or not. And honestly, when I stepped away from it all, I remember being at work going, I'm done. I remember being at the show, the last show I worked at, and poor Shanks, who's brand new to color commentating, he's sitting there going, "Hey, everybody, this is Sword Championship Wrestling. I'm Shanks. How y'all doing? Paul Farley, how you doing?" I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
it fit the character, but it didn't fit the desire and want that you wanted.
It didn't even fit the character because I was exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
I was to the point where I wasn't feeling it. I was 359 pounds. I was just bottoming out big time.
Yep.
Which, by the way, I can now say I'm 280. But I've dropped a lot of the weight. So, but
you're 280. Are you at 280? You said. Congratulations! I'm at 290. Yeah, I've lost 75 pounds. You lost
almost 80.
Yeah, about 80, 85. Yeah, congratulations.
Well, if you shave off your beard, that's at least 5 pounds.
Something like that. Got to keep that going. All right, now we're done with the first hour. So what I'm going to do, because there's no coffee in here. So what I'm going to do, we're going to take a 5-minute break. I'm going to bring on our sponsors. We're getting back in the swing of things. Usually, sometimes in the off season, we don't jump into that, but we got to jump into it. We got a little dedication. We'll also bring in the next hour another new sponsor that we have up on the show. We're working on their commercials right now, but we got the frames worked up and some of the things that we're doing. So that's what we're going to do as soon as I can find where are the commercials? Where'd you put them? I can't believe it. I thought I had this all in one spot.
I have your commercials. They're right here with me. For $50,000, I will give you the commercials.
I could have swore I don't remember taking them out, but I must.
Your producing on the fly sucks right now. I gotta tell you.
Man, we'll take a quick break. I'm going to find the commercials really quick. We'll hear from one of our other main sponsors. That would be Mint Mobile. We'll be right back.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Big Wireless has once again raised their prices. In response, we're bringing back our deflation promotion. The marketing department asked me to be as explicit as possible when explaining it. So here we go. Because we don't love f***ing our customers over like Big Wireless. We're bringing back our offer for f***ing unlimited premium wireless for only $15 a month. F*** me to the moon and back. That's a great f***ing deal. Explicit enough marketing f***s.
At Wesson General Contracting Incorporated, we're your one-stop shop for all your general contracting needs. We are locally owned and with over 20 years of experience, so roofing, gutters, sidings, fence staining, painting, foundation problems, or roof damage are no problems at all. Give us a call at 214-200-5588. That's 214-200-5588. Wesson General Contractors. The prospect of retirement can be exciting and scary at the same time. At Nest Egg Wealth Advisors, we have found many people either approaching or currently in retirement fail to truly maximize some of the benefits offered to them, primarily Social Security. What is it? How does it work? It's simply not a benefit that you start receiving at age 62. Because these decisions are so important, my firm has assembled an informational packet on Social Security. If you would like a complimentary copy of Social Security Maximization, please give our office a call today at 972-412-6064 or visit us on the web at nesteggadvice.com. At the Jerry Bullet Training Center, we are a motivated team of coaches with the mindset of helping you achieve and reach your highest goals. Having developed and trained over 100 Division I athletes as well as Division II athletes, even professional athletes, the Bullet team definitely has the knowledge and mindset that take you to the next level. Check out our new 22,000 square foot facility and 3,000 square foot weight room, along with 4,500 square feet of outdoor turf and covered training area, along with football and soccer fields. Contact Melvin Bullitt at 214-326-7853 or visit their facility just outside of Waterview at 8900 Princeton Road in Rowlett.
Being taken for a ride? Check out Casso Insurance, serving Texans since 1981. Bundle your home, auto, or business insurance and save a ton. Casso Insurance on the corner of Main Street and Rowlett Road, where we make insurance fun. Or check us out on the web at CassoInsurance.com, where we always have the coffee pot on. Yeah, but is it fresh?
There is nothing that beats good home-cooked barbecue. Since 1941, Dickey's Barbecue has done all the cooking and you take all the credit. Come see us today at our Rowlett location, 5701 President George Bush Turnpike, Suite 110 in the Target Shopping Center. Whether you want to eat in or take it home, we will fix you up. For lip-smacking, rib-tickling, knee-slapping, foot-stomping, great-tasting barbecue, come see us at Dickey's Barbecue today.
Here at Fit Body Boot Camp, located in Saxe, the solution is here. Fast, long-lasting weight loss results and the healthy lifestyle you need to keep them. The key to your fat loss success is our signature afterburn workouts, as well as support and motivation from our world-class coaches, and an easy-to-follow nutrition program to help you keep the fat off. Visit your local Fit Body Boot Camp in Saxe today to see the difference for yourself, or give us a call at 214-463-3005. That's 214-463-3005. Fit Body Boot Camp, Saxe. Saxe Ice House is a non-smoking craft beer and beer pub located in the heart of Saxe. The Ice House was opened to provide a friendly, clean, and female-friendly environment. Saxe was lacking a place for service industry, date nights, and girls' nights, as well as happy hours. Excellent service and top-notch food are our priority. On Tuesday, we offer 79-cent wings, as well as half-price burgers on Mondays. So check us out at the Ice House, located at 6501 Highway 78 in Saxe, or give us a call at 469-304-1550, or check us out on the web at SaxeIcehouse.com. Go Mustangs!
All right, everybody, welcome back into the Couch Potato Sports Show. It is me, Sonny Clark, along with the Podfather, the People's Pope. How you doing, my friend? Yeah. Great. By the way, I just want to tell you, I just got a message from a person that I haven't talked to in a long time. They said that was a great first hour. What the hell? Look, we're on it. how about that? So just wanted to let you know, some people out there,
The Pope likes you, sir.
is that, yeah, thank you. Yeah, got you. All right. That being said, look up at the left-hand corner. New sponsor on the show. First Choice Auto and Hail right here in the DFW area, working with the Hail.
Over there.
Yeah.
You're pointing towards the coffee, yeah.
Yeah, these guys right there. And that guy over there in the corner. Yeah, so right there. First Choice Auto Hail. And they do also a lot of other things. Check out their websites and do it. Looking forward to his sponsorship through the show. We'll also be great, by the way, just like on our last sponsor, JSP Heating, and right here with First Choice, we'll be having interviews that will be playing at halftime about their businesses, updating and their interest in sports and things of that sort. So we'll be bringing those out at halftime during the show. Yes, sir.
Also, if you can, go to YouTube and subscribe to the Podfather Reviews. I'm doing a lot of movie reviews lately, and every day at 9:05 in the morning, you'll see a movie that I have watched and reviewed with an AI voice, and it's been a lot of fun.
Did you change the voice?
It's the same voice. It's the one that's feels like too highbrow, you know. But like to hear that voice talk about Weekend at Bernie's is kind of funny. So
gotcha. All right. Very well. But make sure you get First Choice Auto Hail. Call 469-288-2639. Check them out. It's a name you can trust. And all right. So I got to take this call. So start talking. We'll be right back. I'll be right.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Couch Potato Sports Show. I'm the Podfather, the People's Pope, Trey McClain. Anyway, a lot going on in the NFL. Too much to really talk about by just myself. But we all know, now guys, listen. Sonny Clark doesn't want to tell y'all this. He's a huge Dallas Cowboy fan. He doesn't want you to know this, but he loves some Dallas Cowboys. He loves the Brian Schottenheimer deal. He thinks Jerry Jones is the greatest owner of all time. And you know what? I think he should get his head examined, but that's just for other reasons. I honestly do believe that, this football year is going to be a lot of fun. The NFC North is going to be freaking huge with four teams that are going to make a big difference this year. That could really ruin some playoff chances for a lot of the other teams. But the East, the Eagles, the Commanders, Cowboys, and of course the Giants. Oh, there he is.
I'm back.
We had a very long and engaging conversation about your love affair with the Cowboys.
Oh, yeah. But speaking of that, by the way, Dallas Cowboys lost two superstars. Larry Allen passed away at 52 years old, and Tom Rafferty passed away. He was 70, though.
When did Tom Rafferty pass away?
Say again?
When did Tom Rafferty pass away?
The third. Let me see here. Tom Rafferty on the 5th. He passed away on the 5th.
Of this month?
Hold on. That's right. Oh, wait. Larry Allen passed away last year. I'm still in 2024.
I was going to say,
but Rafferty passed away on a few days ago on the 5th. Larry Allen passed away last year. I'm a day late, dollar short for everything. So there you go. But yeah, Rafferty passed away, and your team there. So I don't know if you know very much about him. Do you know very much about him?
Oh yeah. He was the center of the Cowboys back when Danny White was there.
Absolutely.
And it's getting sad that that players from that ilk are going to be passing soon. I mean, we're talking to Drew Pearsons, Tony Hills, Tony Orsetts, Danny Whites, Ron Springs along with us, I don't think.
Do you know what Larry Allen passed away? It was last June. So Larry,
he had a heart attack or something.
Is that what's got it? All right. So,
I think so. Man, here, I'll double check.
Yeah. I just know that he passed away in June of last year.
June of last year. Yeah. Let's see here.
Everybody's a phone. Me, I'd much rather have the 50-inch monitor.
Here you go. He died June 2nd, 2024, while on vacation with his family in Mexico. Cause of death was currently undetermined at that time. I have no idea what they say now about it, but dude, he mattered. He really.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And by the way, 52. I think I didn't put a fear of God into me real quick because that guy was an all-around athlete.
And he's one of the main reasons why him and the name starts with this Tony Casillas. Back in the day, that offensive line. That's why I always said the Dallas Cowboys, when they were having their most successes, when they had an offensive line that could help Emmitt Smith break Walter Payton's record. That's why I hate the fact that he broke Walter Payton's record, because if Walter Payton had the offensive line, that Emmitt Smith no one would have caught him. Outside of that, that's why the Dallas Cowboys should always go offensive line, because you're only going to get as far as that offensive line is that you're going to get when you have, unfortunately, mediocre quarterbacks. But back in the day, Troy Aikman, and not to really slap your guy around, Danny White, he wasn't the best, but when he had that line, he was a good quarterback, and they won games. They made it to the playoffs with Danny White. So,
well, I mean, it sucked that they had a player like Phil Posderick who would get a holding call every five plays, and whatever momentum they had would be killed by him. But that offensive line back then. I mean, I remember him very vividly. I mean, Phil Posderick, Glenn Titensor, they played on both ends of Tom Rafferty at the time. Oh man, it's tight end was the Doug Cosby, very underrated tight end, but he was your third down go getter. And remember, Dallas went to 3 NFC Championship games in the early '80s.
Yeah,
lost all 3 of them.
Yes.
I mean, you're talking to the Eagles, talking to the 49ers with the Cats, and you're talking about the Redskins and the strike short in '82 season. By the way, the Washington Redskins went to 2 Super Bowls, both in strike shortened seasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One by a game and one by a 1-game loss and a bunch of scab games, and they still found a way to win.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So, played 14 seasons with the Dallas Cowboys. Tom Rafferty, just to let folks that don't know who he is or what he's really kind of about.
I think he played 1 year under Jimmy. I think he had 1 year. I think he had 1 year under Jimmy.
Yeah,
but then they got Mark Stepnowski, and that just kind of that changed their direction.
Played in 2 Super Bowls, got 1 ring, by the way. He's blocking for Tony Dorsett back in the day, So, and Danny White. So, that's where the whole thing. 14 years as an offensive lineman. Now, let me tell you what I know. Not what I think I know, but what I know about offensive linemen. You think that other players get hit in the head a lot? Be an offensive lineman.
Every play.
Okay? Every single play. So, they took on a lot, and kind of crazy there as far as that's concerned. Brain injuries. If you want to talk brain injuries, it is where it is. Now, that being said, July is a big month for Sonny Clark. We're going to go to the potpourri portion of this, and just to let you know, Wimbledon's in July, but we just had the French Open, which I don't tell people that I watch. It's not a lot of people want to talk tennis, especially on a sports show. But I got to get some props. And I'll tell you, I caught on to this young lady in 2018 when she won that, because I kept track of and I still do keep track of it. I have a hard time pronouncing names or remembering names, but if I see their faces, I know who they are. But Coco, listen, she's simple. Back in the day, she won the Junior Open at the French Open, and then just yesterday wins the French Open and the women's singles here just 7 years later after getting out of it. And by the way, you want to talk a superstar, this girl's a superstar. As far as, and not only that, believes what she is doing. If I told you I had a doubt inside me, I must be lying. Now, this is where I'm going to call you in, quoting Tyler, the creator of the winning. I don't know. Do you keep track of tennis at all?
No.
No, okay, then I'll go away from that. The creator, after winning the French Open, gets the line, but it's true. This young lady has had all the confidence in the world, and I'm so happy. And she's also the first American woman to win the French Open since Serena Williams, 10 years ago. So here we are 10 years ago, and we finally get a U.S. Winner there. So I just wanted to throw that out there as far as, what's going on in sports. Good morning, Nisha Davis. Do you know who that is? I think
No.
I know her. I think
Oh,
I know. Maybe I don't. I don't know. But good to see you. I think, wait. Does she know Toya? I think she knows Toya, I think. I don't. Let me know. Nisha, let me know. How do I know you, or how do you know Trey? Or you're just peeking in. We'd like to know. Thanks. Appreciate you giving us.
She knows all about the Podfather.
Yeah. But here, let me just click this button and get out of this. Hold on. But we got what's coming up. We have the Wimbledon that's about ready to head into there. So that is huge. I'm looking forward to that. So this year I'm actually going to do a Wimbledon show. Now, I know I'm probably just going to be on the air by myself, but I'm going to do it. I love Wimbledon. I love the big ones. I love the big ones. French Open, love it. Wimbledon, love it. U.S. Open, love it. Australian Open, love it. And if you have ESPN Plus, you get to actually see those, which if you don't have, there's not. So since I got it, I get the opportunity to see it and watch it. So I'm excited. So congratulations to Coco. I'm excited about that. And I'm looking forward to what she is able to do at Wimbledon. That's, and just seeing her progression since 2018 to where she is now winning a major, her first major, by the way. Congratulations. That's huge. If you keep track of tennis, you will get to know her and you'll get to know her name. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, keeping it on the women's side, what has been talked about a lot is the WNBA. Now, that having been said, let me preface what I'm about ready to say. I don't know very much about the WNBA. I know about the Phoenix Mercury because I actually loved the Phoenix Mercury back in the day when I lived there. I haven't lived there in 20 years, so I haven't really been keeping track of it. I was going to get interested in the Wings, but they're just a little bit too far for me to go to enjoy the games. So, but that is a big point, as far as that's concerned, because I would drive that far to see the Mavericks. It's a little bit further than where the Mavericks are now.
First of all, what are you doing driving to the stadium? Take the dart rail. It takes you right to the entrance of the AAC.
Say that again?
Just take the dart rail. It takes you right to the entrance of the AAC.
They're at the AAC now?
The dart rail empties you out right at the entrance of the AAC.
So what's your point?
Take the dart rail there.
Oh yeah, the dart. Okay, I don't know why.
Pay attention. All right.
No, it's not paying attention. I can't hear you very well. All right, yeah, the dart rail. Yeah, drops you right off at the front. I went and seen the wrestling WWE there, and we took the dart rail and parked away. So, but yes, you could do it. But along what I'm saying, I don't know a lot about WNBA now. But the only thing that I do know about
do they play at the AAC?
No, they play.
They play at SMU, don't they?
I think they play at the college at TCU, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
It's one of the colleges.
SMU or TCU?
Huh?
SMU or TCU?
Probably SMU. It's not TCU. That's they're in Dallas. So it's one of the college things. So it's probably TCU. That having been said. But it just goes to show I don't know a lot about it. So, but they're making big time news, and I don't know. So I'm going to ask you if they're making big time news in a good way,
okay,
or is it a bad way? What they always say. In entertainment and sports.
If they're talking about you, you're doing something right.
Exactly. You got eyes on it, regardless how you got it. Now, here's the situation as far as the WNBA is concerned. Okay, I wasn't even I wouldn't even say I was interested in the WNBA, even when Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese made their way into it. Okay, I did know about the rivalry because it was big within the Final Four of the women's side of the tournament. Big stories, and that's where it all began in reality to build up to where they are now. Big stories coming out, but the difference between the men's game and the women's game is so huge. It's different. Now, I'll tell you the reason why. We got a lot of things that are going on that people talk about here. So I'm going to put this up. This was at the game last night, okay? The Fever and the Sky. It's one of the biggest crowds for them. By the way, congratulations. If you can get it up there, it's yes, very, very few people are in it. But the stories that are coming out are not coming out because of the athletics in reality. Now here, great story. They get 19,000 people for, the Chicago Sky game, but Caitlin Clark didn't even play in this game last night. They still, with the anticipation that she might, they sold the tickets. Guess what? They are not putting 19,496 people, asses in seats because of Angel Reese. Because if that was so, their home attendance would be just like this all the time. Here's where the problem, as far as the WNBA is concerned. The WNBA is got a superstar in Caitlin Clark. And the problem is that Caitlin Clark is a curveball to the norm of what the NBA and basketball are all about. And the problem also is that they are getting eyes on the product not because of the product. They're getting eyes up on the product because of drama. Okay, so you get the drama between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and that's what's getting eyes up on it lately. Now, granted, I'm not saying that Caitlin Clark is not talented. She might be the Stephen Curry of the WNBA if I'm going to make the comparison. Okay, Angel Reese, I don't know who I'd make the comparison with, because my problem is I've seen enough on Angel Reese to think that I think she's a minimal player, maybe middle round player.
She's kind of
the WNBA.
of the league.
Huh?
She's a Scottie Pippen of the league.
Okay. You think she's Scottie? That's a big one. I think I don't know if I'd give her that.
But Scottie can win. Scottie can win on his own now.
Yes and no, depending on what when he went to Portland and Houston, he didn't win jack. Okay.
Right. On his own. Even when he was just him on the Bulls and Jordan was playing baseball, he didn't win.
Exactly. So I guess if you want to give her that much credit, so I won't disagree with you, but I think it might be just less than Scottie Pippen was a superstar. Okay.
You know what though? You know what? There's a huge jealousy that's involved with that. She's tried to make it more about race than anything else, which I do not like. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that, SNL didn't call her, okay? They called Caitlin Clark.
Right. Yes.
It's just because she had the big name coming out of college. And, the thing is, if you want to make a splash for yourself, win games.
Exactly.
Win games because in that league, that's all you can do.
Yes. Because
you're not the high impact NBA players. You're not the NFL. You're not Major League Baseball. You're not the NHL. You are. As Nisha said, no one's paying attention because nobody goes. And we talked about this a year ago. Shouldn't these girls be making a whole lot more money than what they're getting paid now? Yeah, if they drew. Now you draw 19,000 people to a show. Good for you. Do it every week.
Well, we can make the comparison. Look at what we were just talking about last hour. Wrestling on a smaller promotion, if they put asses in seats, those guys would get paid more. It's the business side of what's going on. Also understanding the WNBA is subsidized by the NBA teams that they're in reference with. So the monies that are being made are not enough to what's going on as far as that part is concerned.
Oh, don't let me on again.
You're gonna go. I got it. I'm on call. So follow up.
Folks, you want me to follow up on the WNBA? Well, that's just not going to happen. No. So, anyway, getting back to what I was saying about Sonny Clark, he's a huge Cowboy fan. This whole Jaguar, he picked a random team that he has no affiliation with and decided to go with them because it'll get him off the outer. No one's going to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're going to talk about the high impact teams, the Eagles and the Bears and the Cowboys and the Steelers and whatever else. He had to be different because look at his beard. Come on. Anyway, big time news in WNBA.
By the way, I heard that. By the way, you smart ass. Anyway, back to the WNBA. Smart ass. Back to the NBA. I guess I'm going to ask you. They're getting eyes on. Listen, they're getting eyes on the product. 19,000 in attendance. They wanted to see Caitlin Clark. Unfortunately injured, she didn't play, but she was there. But
do you know how many arenas sold out outside of Chicago? Thank you. Expecting to see Michael Jordan back in the day, and
Absolutely.
He decided not to play.
Yes, or couldn't play if there was an injury. Yeah.
I mean, that happened in Dallas one time when they were because the Mavericks only played him twice a year, once here and once there. Mm-hmm. And when he would come to town for that one game and not show up on the bench, it pissed off the entire Dallas crowd because Dallas was nobody and Jordan was the end all be all. So.
And there's something to be said about that, by the way. When you are let's be honest, that's what Caitlin Clark is, and the problem is jealousy, which creates the drama. Because and here's the thing, unlike. And I hate to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Unlike in men's sports, there's just a difference between the WNBA and the NBA for the comparison, okay? Because when this would pop up, okay, and by the way, the story, and as far as what this represents, the players the guys like Jordan, the guys that have passion would take this incident right there and turn it into their positive, turn it into their narrative that made them better. Okay? I don't know if you had the chance to watch Michael Jordan's documentary, but he would take the littlest thing, blow it up to make him better. That right there, if someone put something in that for Michael Jordan like that, whoever team or whatever, you were in trouble. You were going to get Michael Jordan put a 60 burger on your ass. The problem with Angel Reese is that she can't take that as a motivation to increase and make her a better basketball player.
Yeah, it's an insult to her because at the end of the day, the mindset of being competitive. Social media is all about bullying the person that you don't like, right? I mean, I bully you on this show all the time, but I do it because the fans demand it, really. But
right, that's it, yeah.
I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, they listen to the Pope. I don't know about your situation, but I mean, the thing is though is that she could take a negative and make it into a positive if she wanted to.
Exactly.
But she doesn't
That's
have
what Caitlin Clark does night in, night out.
She doesn't have the mentality right now. She might get that over time.
Killer instinct.
I mean, if you lose enough, you end up getting some perspective on who you are.
You would think.
But then again, some people are pretty much entitled too. The thing is with Angel Reese, when she throws out the race card, which I do not encourage any athlete to do because, you don't get calls because you're black. You don't get calls because you're white. You get calls because of how you play. If you play dirty, you're going to get called against you. If you play clean, hopefully the refs aren't going to sit there and blow the whistle at you. But I mean, the thing is, it's when what is this? Can you like not post stuff that's where I can actually see it?
I'm throwing them out there. It's just something to maybe give you something else to think about, to talk about. That's why I put it out there.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, look. At the end of the day, the WNBA, they're gonna have other stars come in there besides those two girls.
Absolutely.
And they have to grow, and they have to grow their brand. It takes more. I said this last year. It takes more than Caitlin Clark to grow a brand.
You're exactly right. And here's what I'm going to say, which is not a very popular belief, a popular opinion. Some would think it's, sexist, but women have failed the WNBA. Women should be going in groves to see the WNBA, based up even now what's going on with the Caitlin Clark going on, with the Angel Reese going on, Brittany Griner. That story, they were not able to take the Brittany Griner coming back from Russia and make that a big story to where people gotta go see Brittany Griner.
But here's the thing, she separated herself from a lot of her fans because of her attitude.
That is true, because that is a big story about her, and part of what you're talking about, the race card, which was being introduced.
Regardless of what you think about marijuana use and everything else with our athletes, I mean, whether you like it or you don't like it, or you accept it or you don't accept it, women are supportive to other women like this. Yeah, I agree. Well,
by the way, Miss Davis, that is probably the biggest point of this whole thing. Because it's men going to watch the NBA. We don't give a rat's fat ass what they do. We only care about what they do on the court. Women judge women harshly. And I thought I was the only one. So her saying this makes me feel like I'm not too far off in the left field on my thinking. Women don't like other women. Women try to one up another woman. Women don't want to get together and play as a team. They got to be a standout. And that doesn't help in the team sport.
Okay, well, here, I'll throw this scenario at you. Let's say your wife comes to you and goes, "Sonny, let's go see the Mavericks play tomorrow." Okay, great. Mm-hmm. Let's go see it. Let's go see the NBA. Do their thing. Turn it around, Sonny. Let's go see the WNBA players.
All right.
I mean, at what point are you saying? I mean, and not just you. There are guys out there who go, really? I mean, like we can't just go bowling and have a better time doing that. I mean, it's like it's not like a good movie. I mean, we spend a little bit less money at a movie theater than we can at a WNBA.
Yeah, actually, because it's paid less than the movie theater.
Right. Well, I mean, but it's like, well, see, we can go see the Superman movie coming out in July, or we got to save for that because we got to get the bucket as well, or we can go see Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark and how much they charge them for their games.
Now, what you said, and you just don't know. My wife is not a sports fan. So if my wife said that she wanted to go to that, first of all, the answer would be yes, because it's her getting interested in a sport that, first of all, that she would like. She would never, if she didn't have an interest or something that triggered her enough to go see it, she wouldn't do it. So anything in sports, I would probably go. But if she was a sports fanatic, I would say, why would we go see this? So there is a difference because of her level of interest in sports compared to mine. If she had mine, I would say, I'm not going to go see this. Now, that also being said, are they getting the eyes on for the wrong reason? The answer would be is if I was a spot, I probably would go see that. And first of all, if it wasn't so far. And second of all, if I had the money to go see it. You have to find the discretionary income that you would spend to go see it if you're going to go see it. So it is cheaper than a movie if you do it right.
Who has that these days?
Exactly. Life throws curveballs, and stuff like that. But if I had the money,
when Donald Trump can't Elon Musk,
good point. But right now, if someone said, and that money wasn't an object, and I would actually go to this. And mainly because it's the main reason why I went to see WrestleMania back in the day when it was in Phoenix.
But that's WrestleMania.
I just wanted to see what it was.
Right, but understand this though. The WNBA is no different than watching college basketball for women. Which I mean, college, you know,
and they make more money.
Come on, hold on a second. I'm gonna backtrack that because college basketball for women draws more than WNBA.
It does,
but yeah, because they have their own NCAA tournament,
right?
And no one gets invested in the regular season. No one gets invested in that. It's always about the Final Four stuff. So, absolutely. But then again, the WNBA doesn't have that. Nope. So they have their own playoffs. They have this. They have that. I remember.
Sounds like you're saying their branding sucks.
It does. You know, a buddy of mine who passed away about 4 years ago. He was a big women's basketball goer. I mean, because he loved pure basketball, and that's what that is, pure basketball. It's not, you know, overly hyped, you know, trash talking. I mean, they trash talk all they want, but I mean, the thing is though, is that it's not anywhere near what the men are doing.
No.
And like, you know,
it's almost like women don't know how to trash talk.
They do.
Not as good. Just not as good.
You never seen two bitches go out in the bar? Oh, it's fun.
Well, no. I'm talking about the WNBA. I'm not talking about two bitches in the bar. Okay. I have seen the bitches in the bar, and I get it. I pay to see that before I see the WNBA. That having been said, you said it the most, and you didn't like the fact that I threw the graphic up. What I was trying to do is get you to feed up on this right here. The Fever beating the hell out of the Sky. Okay? Each and every time they go. That's a Michael Jordan kind of thing, to where is if you are going to get something out of getting your ass kicked and come back stronger, getting your ass kicked all the time, that should do it. And to change the player, to make her better, or whatever the case may be. And now, we may be too early in this story, and this goes in, I don't keep track of it, so I don't know. But all I know is this is the second year of this. You know, the second year in the first 3 weeks of the WNBA season. They were able to create the drama last year and bring it up to front. So the drama is about the emotions of the game, the race card being thrown out, and things of that sort. And whether or not
you need more than two, though.
I agree.
You need to feed other teams.
And the problem is that we get this right here. I'm going to throw this up. Okay, Brittany Griner. Here's where a race portion gets thrown at, but it wasn't what the card was being thrown by Angel Reese. Here is another side, and it's a negative about what was being said in reality. So I say this to my friends all the time, okay, when we have this conversation. You can't have it both ways. And what I'm talking about is racism. You can't go ahead and be the black person getting on the white girl. You definitely can't be the white girl getting on the black girl. Okay, so if it's not going to be on the equal stage, one person can't do it, the other person can't. The Brittany Griner thing, the WNBA completely missed out on the superstar possibility, branding, pushing her to get people to come and see this woman who gave up how long over in the jail, and they weren't able to capitalize on.
That's why.
What?
You think Nike wants to put any money towards that?
Well, the problem is what you got arrested for. Yes,
that?
I see why Nike wouldn't want.
I mean, you think Gatorade, you think McDonald's, you think you know, Fortune 500 companies like that want to look at her and go, let's make her the face of our product.
Well, and that's interesting that you say that, because I'm not a marijuana guy. Okay, I don't want it. I don't need it. I don't want to be around it. I find it completely and utterly negative. I get what you're talking about, but I'm 58 years old.
No way.
Okay,
you look 70.
Thank you. So that being said, my old school thinking is that. And it doesn't have to do, it has to do with life in general. You know, there are certain people that need that for pain for their life, and I completely and utterly understand it and why they do it. And then there are the ones that just want to get high all the time. So the negative, contemplation of that look. Yes, it's hard to throw money, but in today's generation, Trey, I don't know. I think I'm behind the times. I don't think they care about that anymore, do they? Or do you? Or what do you think? I mean, you're not a spring chicken. I mean, but so you're about 10 years younger than I am. What is the thinking of marijuana? Does anybody care anymore?
I mean, what's the difference between that and alcohol?
Well, what is the difference?
I mean, they can both.
One was illegal at one point, and the other isn't.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that they both can impair you if you're driving a vehicle.
Yeah.
And there's one of your big problems you have there.
Even if it's 5 miles, it's 5 miles down the road.
But here's the thing. Hey. Here's the thing, though. Marijuana is proven to help out people who got CTE issues also.
Yes.
And in the sport of football, where, as we talked about, offensive linemen going through all sorts of, they're getting hit every play.
Yes.
I can't blame them for that, because if they're hurting, if they're suffering through mental faculties they don't have anymore, and this is the only thing that can calm their head to keep them from, I don't know, committing suicide, because it's happened.
Yes.
Case in point, former Chicago Bear defensive player, Duerson.
Dave Duerson.
Yeah, Dave Duerson. He killed himself.
Yep.
Because he was doing
He donated his brain. That was the intention of the suicide, because he didn't shoot himself in the face. He shot himself in the chest so that he could examine his brain.
So, I mean, the thing is that I myself do not partake. I have, but it's not to the point to where I would make it a regular thing. I've tried the gummies, and honestly, I mean, for me, it makes me paranoid, and I don't like that feeling. And I'm already paranoid enough when I don't know if you're going to do a show on Sunday. So I mean, that's really
in the off season.
In the off season, I mean, some important times. So we got.
Yes, I understand.
Well, we got the biggest news out there right now that we ain't even talked about yet. So
there's a lot. Yeah. Well,
so
that having been said, before we get, but just to follow up on the WNBA, and then we'll move on. There's a difference between that for the race card being thrown a different way. Now, that also being said, this right here is the reason why I hate women's sports. So if both those that are listening and not watching, I got a graphic up that said the Chicago Sky head coach, Tyler Marsh, after suffering a huge defeat, by the way, 93-58 in the opening game, playing the 17,000 Indiana Fever fans for excessively booing, cursing players, and they became distracted and unable to focus in on the game. That alone should disqualify anybody for getting out on the court. That statement is so and I'll just say it. That statement is so womanish. It just makes me. It turns me off so much. I think she should be fired for making a statement like that.
I don't know about being fired, but the thing is that she needs to understand. People pay their money to buy a ticket.
Yeah.
They can go sit. They got a right to be heard. Now there are certain things they cannot yell out there, otherwise they get thrown out of the game.
Fully agree.
I mean, it happens in baseball a lot. I mean, do you know people sit in the outfield and freaking tease the outfielders out there in baseball games?
Dude, you can't be in the outfielder if you have thin skin. I'm telling you right now.
If you're a thin skin to be out there in the outfield and not deal with the constant bickering of fans who want to see you fail, by the way.
Absolutely.
Because they have 9 innings to look at you and just say whatever the hell they want to say about you.
Yeah.
The thing is that's part of the game.
That's part. The game. Hey, it's not part of the game. It is the game.
Hey, I've been at Cowboy games back when I mentioned earlier the 1987 SCAP season, right? When Danny White and Tony Dorsett and all those guys crossed the picket line and were booed out of the stadium because they wanted Kevin Slaney to play. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like Tom Anderson. They're going, well, please don't boo our players because they're your team. No, that's part of what's going on. That's part of the climate. And you cannot, you can't tell a wrestling fan, listen, we want you to cheer for Jey Uso, but you're probably going to cheer for Cena because this is his last match. This is the last time you'll see him here. So we get that.
Right.
But we're not going to say now. We might take down your signs because that ruins what we're trying to do on TV.
Yeah, I actually hate that. But.
Yeah, but the thing is, again, the wrestling crowds, as much as wrestling crowds should never be a part of the show. They should be enjoying the show.
Absolutely.
Football fans are part of the game because that's why home field advantage is such a big deal.
That's why you have the 12th man in Seattle. Okay, all right.
Worked out well for them.
Huh?
Worked out well for them.
Yeah, well, it used to work out for them.
Yeah.
But in reality, your home field is the 6th man in basketball. All right. So the fact of the matter is, this she should be. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm going to say it. Fire this woman. She doesn't know how to be a coach. She doesn't understand what coaching is.
First of all, calling for someone to be fired because of what they say like that.
Why?
First of all, remember
I'll say it. She's a mental midget.
Okay, fine, but she still has a job. Thing is, she's still working a job that puts food on her plate, right?
Yeah, exactly. And when you to me, when you show that much weakness and thin skin, you are the problem.
Listen. All you're doing at that point is open the doors for other people to boo you. That's all you're doing. So let her learn.
Exactly.
So let her learn from that.
No,
don't just discipline her.
All I'm going to say is that if I was the owner of the Sky, I'd fire that woman.
Well,
I don't want a weak-minded woman in there. They're bullying and they're.
But here's the thing, Sonny.
Oh my God, are you kidding?
Sonny, quit trying to listen to your own self-talk. Listen, here's the thing. To sit there and just take that person's livelihood away from them because of what they said, just something that's stupid.
Yeah.
Look, let her learn. Let her learn. Look.
Yeah, let her learn by getting fired.
No, you don't want nothing from that because at that point you just got out of a bad situation. No. No. Let her learn to coach within that time, within that context. Let's see what kind of coach she can be. If she can't be a good coach, then you fire her. If she can't win games, then you fire her. But Bill Belichick is the best coach in the world. Okay, all right, and he dealt with all of that in Cleveland before he became who he is. Okay, so he wouldn't come out and say what that woman is saying. Okay, I'm just going to say it. She should be embarrassed to be in a competitive sport to say, "Oh, they were distracted because they were booed." I mean, that is such a big. Listen, if an NBA coach said that, what would you think? You would listen. You'd want them fired. Seriously. So why treat them any differently? That bitch needs to pack her bags. You do realize I'm only hearing the context of which you're putting it out, right? I'm not because I don't watch WNBA. So I mean I don't know the context of which he actually. I don't watch it either. But I don't understand. Sonny, shut up. No, I mean, it's called back and forth, sir. Let it go back and forth. Now, it's not just.
Yeah, but you interrupt me before I'm done, even though you think I'm going on too long, like I just did to you right there.
Turn into, by the way, we only got 7 minutes left, so hurry up.
Oh, okay.
All I'm saying is that I'm only getting the context of which you're putting out.
Right.
I didn't see the interview. I didn't see her say what she said. Now, if I hear the context of how she says, well, they're just bullying us, and I didn't like it, and it really distracted all of us. Then, I said and go, listen, bitch, this is the deal. This is competitive sports. Get with it or get out. It's that fucking simple. But I don't fire her. I sit there as the owner. I would sit and go, look, no one's going to like you everywhere you go. Even in your own hometown, they may not like you. Okay? But if you win, they will like you.
Yeah. But the problem is when a coach does it, it's enabling the team to use that as an excuse. And that's not good leadership. And then you get this. If ownership allows that. You get this. This is what soft coaching. We had 9 games in 18 games. That really isn't responsible from the commission. I'm telling you, it's pathetic. It's not competitive. It's bitchiness. Is what it boils down to.
But understand this though, and one thing you and I can never understand, Sonny, and I'm
Probably not.
But here's the thing: you and I do not have that every 28th day we get that visitor come down to bother us. Okay. So if you have someone not with 9 games in 18 days, and that's during that time of the month, maybe you know what? Maybe we need to back off with that situation a little bit because we don't get it. Okay.
Well, no, okay. I'll admit maybe I don't get it, but I'm going to tell you that reaction, that coach, it brings what that woman just said.
Listen, if she's having a time of the month, that will not be happening with her.
Well, you know, so that being said, if you're going to be that way, I understand, and they should understand why. I don't think I'm very much different than most people. Maybe I'm not. But I'm not going to.
Oh, you made the Pope laugh.
I'm not going to pay to see that. I'm not going to say. I don't want my coach. Listen, could you imagine? Could you imagine an NFL coach saying those words? Could you imagine it?
I mean, former Redskin owner Dan Snyder was a little bit of a bitch in the owner's box. So
and look where he is now, not an owner of the
right. I mean, he legitimately got fired out of the NFL, but that
exactly.
But that wasn't the reason why he got fired, though.
Well, we all know what the whole the backstory of why he had to get rid of it. But yeah, by the way, I know you got to go. What was the big story that you want to talk about? Let you hop in on.
Well, clearly, Aaron Rodgers finally found the team.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. It's really easy to sit there and poke fun of Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. It really is, because he's done really in the last 4 years. He's really done nothing.
The biggest diva.
But here's the thing, now. Okay, here's the thing. The Steelers are coming off a 10-7 season last year.
Yes.
Aaron Rodgers is still better than Russell Wilson and Justin Fields combined.
I'm glad I am not the only one that.
Yeah. So the thing is this. You forget. Yeah, it's amazing. 10-6 sounds like a potential playoff team.
Hey.
10-7 sounds like you're struggling.
Yes.
That one game really fucks you up. So it's amazing how the 17-game seasons have really just wrecked the NFL when it comes to your perception of what a good team is. Because when you lose 7 games, you're okay.
You're over 500. You're over 500.
You're over 500, but
not under 500.
Yeah, but
or instead of being 500 at 8-8.
Yeah, or 9-8, you know, or just being just hovering, all right?
Right.
But so Aaron Rodgers going to the Steelers, that's huge. And if I'm Bryce, I know Bryce ain't all that excited about it, but think of what you had last year and you went 10-7.
Good point.
Now you taking away the George Pickens of the world, and you taking away some of the players that helped that team go 10-7. And you might get the Aaron Rodgers, circus show come to town for at least a year. But again, and this is where I know we talk about this on the show. Is it time for Tomlin to go? Is it time for the Steelers to cut bait to cut with him? Again, Don Shula last won the Super Bowl in the 70s.
Yes.
He went back in 84 and lost.
Yes.
But and he actually went back in 82 also and lost. But he last time he won a Super Bowl was in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And that was against the Redskins, I think. So
yes.
He didn't get fired until 20 some odd years later.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't win every season. He didn't have winning seasons every year.
Well,
even with Dan Marino.
But that was a different day and age.
Maybe so, but the thing is, one thing I will always respect about the Steelers, and I said this, they are loyal to their coach.
Absolutely.
Maybe to their detriment.
Three coaches in the last 30 years, plus.
They give him every single opportunity to succeed, whereas some owners, Jerry Jones, will give you a 5-year window because it took Jimmy 4.
Right.
Because it took Barry 2. So he gives you a 5-year window to show us something. And it's going to be and with our new coach, Brian Schottenheimer, it's only a 4-year window. So, the thing is that the impatience that the ownerships have with these teams, because they're looking at the bottom line, will this draw asses in our seats? Will this make our team any better? Will this do this? Will this? When a lot of this, by the way, and I know it's easy to sit there and go fire that coach. That team sucks. I get all that. Okay, good for him. You know what? That's about right. Because it could have been a lot worse.
That's a far cry from $50 million that he made for the last 2 seasons for the Jets.
Yeah, and again, playing with the Jets just kind of brought down his value quite a bit, because one year you spent there, you played 3 plays and got knocked out. The next year you're struggling with the team, and you get the coach fired overseas, and you're trying to bring in your guys to do it. Obviously, whatever it is that you brought in, nobody was calling you. Nobody was calling you to come quarterback their team. But the Steelers needed to. Are you getting a call again?
No, that's just my clock.
Oh, okay. Well, it's 11 o'clock. But anyway, and
yes.
Well, I'll give her a few more minutes. But look, I think it's a good move by the Steelers. And if they have a rookie quarterback, because we all knew Mason Rudolph was not going to be the answer. You brought him in because he knew the offense. That's the only reason why you brought him in. He knew
after you let him go,
he knew how to get to the practice field. That's what he knew. Okay, so, and he might know the playbook for what it is. Now they changed offensive coordinator since then, but don't worry about that.
Right.
So, but the thing is, now you have is Aaron Rodgers a Hall of Famer? Are we gonna no question that?
100%. And
okay.
if anybody says he is,
now,
they don't know football.
By the way, I watched the documentary on Netflix about Brett Favre.
Yes. And was it fantastic, or was it?
What a piece of shit he is.
Oh,
I always said that about him when he played, but I mean, the fact that that's coming to fruition, people should listen to the Pope. But anyway, I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, look. I mean, Aaron Rodgers probably deserves a little more leeway than Brett Favre. Okay, Brett Favre. I mean, at least Aaron Rodgers.
It started there. Started there.
Yeah. So, for everything that Aaron Rodgers has done as a player, diva wise, everything else, the fact is he's put up the numbers and the championships to say he's going to. Well, he put up 1. So did Brett Favre, by the way. He only had 1.
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah. So, whereas Troy had 3. Anyway, I'm just saying. Yeah. No one ever talks about Troy, and
well, there's no question Troy is the Hall of Fame.
I blame Dan Dierdorf for all this shit.
Well,
because Dan Dierdorf will sit there and suck his dick every Monday night football game and throw me a Brett Favre stat when he's not even playing that fucking game. I'm sorry. I mean, there will be times I will sit there. It's the Cardinals versus the 49ers, and yet we're seeing a Brett Favre package. Why?
Yeah, I understand.
Why? I mean, I don't get. I know the NFL wants to push him on me. I get that, but you know what? You do that with merch. You do that with hey, guess who's coming to town this week? Fine. Don't do that to me on a game he's not even a part of.
Right.
Fuck that. But. That's here nor there. That was back when Dan Dierdorf was he's still a piece of shit. But I have no idea. He's probably a nice guy, but I would never know. But as far as Aaron Rodgers, he has created a culture to himself.
Yes. And
if he can win within that culture, Bryce is going to be happy as hell.
And he'll be just known as eccentric, in a positive light more so than a negative.
Right, and the thing is that I'm not a Steelers fan, but I like the NFL. And I mean, there are times I pick games against teams I don't really like, but I pick them because I think they're going to win. I think the Steelers are going to win this year. With right now, well, I mean, it's not like the AFC North is that dominant right now, minus the Ravens who can't win a playoff game. You got the Cleveland Browns.
I'll let you have temporary insanity. I'll just
No,
put it
no,
like
no, no, no.
that.
no.
Temporary insanity. I'll just
No,
put
no,
it
no,
like
no, no.
that.
Okay.
The AFC North is the best division in football.
No, the NFC North is the best division. The AFC North, not so much.
AFC North is the best division of football.
The Cleveland Browns?
Listen, the potential.
No.
But the other
Browns,
three teams,
the Cincinnati
teams
Bengals,
are powerhouses.
the Baltimore Ravens,
they
and
call
the
it
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Listen, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Baltimore Ravens, and as much as you don't want to admit it, the Bengals. And the Browns, depending on what they figure out and what they're going to do, they're in
the Bengals are
now.
only
they're
as
the best.
good. The Bengals are only as good if their quarterback doesn't fall apart.
Wrong. No, you're wrong about that. The Bengals are only going to be as good as their defense is going to be because it's not because of what they're doing offensively and why they're not winning football games.
It's okay. You could be wrong.
But I would agree with you, but then we.
But here's the thing. Hey. Here's the thing. Oh, screw you. Look, here's the thing. Aaron Rodgers won playoff games. Lamar Jackson hasn't.
Who would you take right now, Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson?
Depends who I got around him. If you put Lamar Jackson,
are you sure you're not sucking on a gummy? I mean, have you lost your mind?
No.
If you
put Lamar Jackson in Pittsburgh, he's not the same Lamar Jackson that we know.
No, he'd be 100% better.
Maybe. But then again,
wait. I thought.
I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that.
By the way, I hurt my knee, and I've been taking a lot of drugs. Okay, I hurt my knee, but you have lost your mind. If you think any football team would rather have Aaron Rodgers,
no,
and that he's better, depending on who's out on the football.
This is not the Andy Dalton situation. Okay, okay, this is not that at all. No, I get. I mean, would I rather have one or the other? I honestly, whatever. I mean, if I could think Lamar Jackson can run that offense up north in Pittsburgh and run all over the NFL like he's doing in Baltimore until the playoffs hit. I mean, look, he's a great September to December quarterback. Give me in January.
I'm not going to argue that part.
So give me in January, then we'll talk. You have to get Aaron Rodgers in January. That's going to be the hardest thing.
Exactly.
So until that happens,
you think, regardless of what team would you rather have Aaron Rodgers on than Lamar Jackson? I guess maybe I got to figure out what you're talking about.
No, I'm just saying, Aaron Rodgers fits with Pittsburgh. Lamar Jackson doesn't.
You're wrong.
Because I don't think Mike Tomlin would want Lamar Jackson to run around that much and risk injury with that team. Because who's his backup? Mason Rudolph.
Now, that being said, you're right about that. Getting a backup quarterback that does not complement your.
And by the way, Aaron Rodgers has the same.
Aaron Rodgers
has the same issue. He's got the same issue because if he goes down, that's who they're stuck with—a guy who couldn't do it the first time.
But Mason Rudolph is more Aaron Rodgers than putting
Lamar Jackson.
Exactly, and that's the point. I mean, if you're going to compliment your quarterback, you've got to get somebody who's kind of like him. So based upon what's going on in Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph is more so than if they had a Lamar Jackson backing him up. A type of
who would you pick, Geno Smith or Mason Rudolph?
For the team that he plays now, based on I would say I would take Mason Rudolph because he complements the type of quarterback they are, and they don't have to change a playbook to bring in a different quarterback. That is huge during the season because they don't have time for that crap. So that's why But as far as I would, if you took out the starter in any football team in the NFL and put Lamar Jackson in, he's better. There's nobody. Listen, it's just the way that. But Lamar Jackson though, as far and back to the NFC or the AFC North. You've got those three teams that are there, and they are going to be. Listen, And even to the point of the Cleveland Browns, those 6 games each season, those are bloodbaths down there. Those are the most competitive football games that you're going to get all season in the AFC North. That's why the AFC North is the best division in football. We'll laugh at our other misfits when we get them on in.
But you know what, though? I'd be willing to say the NFC North will give the AFC North a fit right now because they got all 4 teams looking to try to do something really big this year. Because you got
that just all depends on what you think of the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears are the Cleveland Browns of their division.
Maybe so, but you know what? I'd be willing to bet you that right now the Bears are a little better. The Bears are
theoretically on paper.
Yeah, on paper they are.
Yeah, on paper. But
guess what?
I will tell you right
on the
now.
Field, on the field, they could be better than the Browns were too, though.
They could, but also
They did last year.
Well, last year maybe,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to. Listen, I'm not a Shadir Sanders fan, but I'm going to tell you right now.
I know.
I'm going to tell you right now that guy needs to be the starter for that football team, and I love me some Joe Flacco. But if you are actually going to, first of all, put asses in seats, you start Sanders. You don't start. So the business portion of it, where it's going to fit in based upon the coach. And I go back, and I'll say this all day long. Okay, there is one coach that just needs to go away. That's the Cleveland Brown coach. Okay, because he had no stones to stand up to. He said, listen, I'm not playing this fool. This is who I'm playing. If you're going to be a coach in the NFL, you got to stand up on what you are and who you are and what you do. And if you're just going to be a yes man for the owners, just to pick up a paycheck, I'm not interested in you. So I've got a beef with the Cleveland Brown coach. I really do. Although I think he's a great coach, if he was able to do what he should have been able to do as a head coach of that football team. So I think that's what, there's a lot of things we can look at, but as far as, I get what you're talking about the NFC North, but they are 2 different types of divisions in reality.
So.
And I guess I just would prefer to see, I'd rather see an AFC North matchup before I see an NFC North matchup because I think there's just going to be a better football game. But that's
but I'm just saying right now, the Packers they're still in the mix.
They're a good football team.
Yeah, I mean
Detroit. We don't necessarily know what they're going to be without their
coaching
team.
We don't know if they can do it 3 years. And the Vikings now they're going to have a quarterback that did not get a chance to play last year, who's going to come in and quarterback this year, and did well with the guy who was pretty much a laughingstock of the league for a long time.
Completely get you.
So I mean, the NFC North is interesting. Okay, are they the best?
It's interesting
question. They're interesting, and I think it'll be interesting once the season starts, how those 4 teams melt away and try to get to where who's going to be the front runner. Because there could be a time where we close to the end of the season and not 1, not 2, but at least 3 of those teams in the NFC North are vying for a playoff spot, knocking out teams like the Commanders or the Cowboys or the Cardinals, whoever else that can get up that.
There's Detroit, Chicago, the Minnesota Vikings, and Green Bay. I think all 4 of them are.
Yeah, that could very well happen.
But the intangibles of the offseason, there's still 3 better football teams in the AFC North than there's, because we don't know what we're going to get in Chicago. Correct? We just don't know. And will the Vikings?
I think we have a better understanding what we're going to get in Chicago. I don't.
You would think. Based upon what happened up in Detroit.
I don't think Caleb Williams is going to do what the guy from Houston did last year.
I fully agree. But at the same time, we have to see that when those games play out. But based upon what all the changes are and what you know about certain things, you look at the AFC North, you got 3 teams that are solid that could be there depending on what's going on, really, in theory. You can't. I see what you're saying. Where in theory the NFC North has 4 teams in there, but the fact of the matter is, one of those teams are not going to be what we think that they can possibly be. At least 1, if not 2, whether it is the Vikings or whether it's the Chicago Bears, or even for that matter, the Detroit Lions. Will they be able to live up to what they did last year, based upon that a new coaching staff and maybe having healthy bodies out on the football field, if they go through the same thing they went through last year,
Well, that's the thing.
will they be able to
health is
react
gonna
as good
kill
as they
everybody
did last year this year? I think there's just more intangibles. Maybe.
Well, that's the thing about the NFL. It's all good right now in July.
Of course, yeah.
Because everybody's healthy.
Listen, I'll even say it. And by the way, this is interesting. The insanity that goes on in the NFL and teams that are players. Deshaun Watson coming out and saying this is my team injury or not. Okay, somebody needs to get with him and say, listen, dude, you've got to put the marijuana or the pot or whatever you're doing down. Because if you honestly think that this is your team, you have lost your mind or you're not listening. Open your eyes completely.
Okay.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, and I
Question.
hate the idea, and Obi is going to hate it.
Right.
But
Question.
the Browns need to start Sanders week number 1 at the NFL.
Question. Did he really say that?
Yes. Yes. I looked that up because I didn't want to put that up there.
Okay.
That was stated. That was stated by him.
Okay. Let me ask you a question.
The insanity of that.
But I understand the insanity part of it because as a fan, that does sound insane. Think about his mindset.
I know.
Where his mindset. I mean, you want a quarterback who says, "Well, I hope I get on the field this year." I mean, do you really want that quarterback mindset? I mean, Randall Cunningham came to Dallas with that mindset of being the backup to Troy.
Wait, you just said the mindset. You go back to the WNBA coach with the mindset of what she actually
That's
put out.
different. A coach and a
Why
player,
is it different?
Coach and a player, different things.
Oh, no, it's not because
Yes, it is.
all the same
Because
thing at the end of the day.
A player is the one out there making it work for your team. Your coach is out there directing traffic.
Your coach is out there putting your team out there as a bunch of wimps before you even get out on the football field or the basketball court.
No, again, look at the coach of Miami, the Dolphins. He does not look like a coach that can. He does not look like a coach that can put 5 or 6 wins on the board. Yeah, he finds a way to put 5 or 6 wins on the board with just his play calling. Now the rest of it's on his players. But the thing is, though, is that look, I get where you're trying to go with this because you're old school and that's how you think. I get all that. But understand this. The Detroit Lions,
okay,
which we all can sit there and talk all about their head coach being the great guy that he is, and he is. He's a great player. He's a great coach. He's a good motivator.
Coach.
He's a good motivator. That's what he is.
Yeah.
And that team plays with him. And
absolutely.
And they share the equal credit back and forth. When they lose, he loses. When they win, he wins.
Everybody wins.
That's all good. But he's got that player mindset. Some coaches get away with that. He's one that does.
Right.
Not every coach. The coach for Miami can't do that. Because
the coach you're talking about, are you talking Don Shula or are you talking the new head coach of this football team?
I'm talking about the guy that looks like he's in front of a computer the entire time.
Yeah, I think. McDaniel.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is, but yet he finds ways to win. So, there's different ways to win. I mean, like, look, in baseball, you have Moneyball, right? And you find to pay players based off what they do in certain innings during certain times of the game. That's how baseball, in some cases, are organized. In some cases, like the Yankees, they just throw money at you. So, right.
Good point.
And if you're the Rangers, you're just throwing anything at the one to make sure you get a hit. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Right.
But I do think that this year is going to be very fun to watch.
Yeah.
Even as a Cowboy fan, which, by the way, you want to see Super Cowboy fan come out this year and have some fun with you guys? Oh, just wait. I'm gonna gear up and do all my shit. So yeah. I'm gonna macho man myself on up there and go, ooh, yeah, right.
Ooh,
so,
yeah.
So you
have you heard the rumblings that some actual people think that the Dallas Cowboys are a playoff football team? Have you heard that? Some people saying that?
Well, Jerry says it every year.
Outside of Jerry. I'm talking in the media, people talking.
Well, yeah, but if you're talking about Michael Irvin, who thinks they're a Super Bowl team every year, that's different.
I'm not talking about him. I'm talking
he's
about
media.
just other people, outside the norm that
look. Everything he's doing right now, and changing the culture, and we can sit there and rip it apart all we want, but all that's great. And if you win in September and October, November, that's great. But you got to win in December and January for it to really matter.
Mm-hmm.
So until we get there, there's going to be a lot of criticism based on what he does and what he doesn't do.
Absolutely.
But
by the way,
but here's the thing. That's why we can come on as fans, we can talk trash and do all the things that we do. Because although we're not nowhere near the facilities of the teams that we like, and we're nowhere near in the ears of the coaches and the players and everything else that are doing it. Even if we were, like I had sore chance for wrestling, they're going to listen to me. So I mean, the thing is this: it's gonna be a fun year.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and I could the Eagles repeat? Yes, they could. Could the Dallas Cowboys get to the playoffs? Sure. There's a lot of things that could happen. Will it happen? I don't know. Will the 49ers lose half their team again this year or last year? Will their quarterback, who's not getting paid the big bucks, not be a big buck quarterback?
Yeah, they're great stories.
I mean, they should. They got the easiest schedule going this year. They should do something.
If you believe what's going on.
So, but the thing is, in July is the easiest schedule. What happens in November? Is all of a sudden, we had to play the hardest teams out there.
Absolutely.
So,
but as what you said right here, $15 million. They bring back their guy that took them to the Super Bowl. That's a big thing as far as, I think, player morale, because you don't get there without him, I think, as far as that is concerned. Now, granted, you've got some players and other cogs that you got to put together, but underneath Sirianni, they've been to 2 Super Bowls. They won 1. So, within the last 3 years. So you've got your guy that keeps the team together, even when they have had the losses that they had, just like the 49ers. Those 2 teams got decimated in the offseason, but it's even worse after you win the Super Bowl and you're trying to repeat and you lose some vital players, key cogs, play in and play out on the football field. So I think it's, what's the bigger story? Yeah, these are all great stories, but at the same time, you're right. I'm old school, and I think.
And by the way, you coming at me about the Cowboys being a playoff team and how awful of a joke that is to you. Hey, here's the thing. If I came at you and told you the same thing about the Jaguars, you'd be saying the same thing. Let's see what happens in November and December.
I'm not saying that. Listen, the Jaguars are not a good football team, even with their new coach and their new player. It can't just be one, and I just don't think it's going to be. The Jaguars are going to have a tough time winning 7 to 8 games this year.
But here's the thing: if they're going in the right direction, sometimes
we won't know what that direction is until week 6 or 7.
Look at the Commanders. No one gave them a shot last year.
Right, but they had a real coach.
Yeah, they had a real coach. Yeah, and in turns, they had a real quarterback too.
Exactly.
In his rookie year. So
exactly.
So for them to go where they went leaps and bounds, that could be Jacksonville as well.
It could be.
It could be. Because
hey,
listen, if Mr. Duval gets that team to where they're all doing it and they're as mellow as fuck to get up to where they got to get to, you know what? Kudos to them, okay? I mean, I'm not a bandwagon jumper, not at all.
Listen, this is what the Jaguars are. They're an embarrassment right now. I'm sorry, they are, even with their new coach and even with Travis Hunter picked up, but it started.
Duval.
That's where it started. And listen,
what makes you so happy?
What they say about perception is really true.
And
that perception, that's the first thing. Yeah, it's hard to change first opinion about someone when you meet them. That alone has me such turned off. Hey, listen, I want to be wrong. I want the Jaguars to win 9 to 10.
If you were wrong about the Jaguars, you will sit there and
I'll admit
all riled up and be all fucking
I'll admit I was wrong.
and just all, just going batshit crazy over the fact that you might be wrong, but you were right about this, and you were right about that, and you were right about this. And by the way, wasn't I the one that always said that would be you? And the thing is that you,
I'll admit it.
Listen. Clearly, you're full of shit. We all get that, but why you dress up as Santa every December, and guess what, kids? You ain't real. So, I mean, look, it is.
But here's the problem: when you're consistently right on the Jaguars as much as I am, I'm not full of shit. But guess what?
Okay.
I'll admit it. If they go out and win 10 games,
I was wrong.
Look, hey. If in the 80s and 90s, if I came out and told you the Rangers sucked every year, because they did, does that make me right? Does that make me right? Or that just makes
it does. I'm sorry, it does.
I'm just saying in the correct lane. That's all
it makes you wrong if you said that those teams were going to be good.
But
it makes
the thing
you
is,
wrong.
You have
this problem. You're still right.
You have this problem being an optimist. That's your problem. Because
I'm not an optimist.
No, and the thing is that your shit thinks it sells. It really doesn't. By the way, you hashtagged everything out there minus the Podfather and Bryce.
By the way,
when does hashtag Sonny Clark draw any viewers?
I haven't changed those in months. I haven't changed.
Yeah, but when does hashtag? I get hashtag Cuervo. I get hashtag Cuervo.
You wouldn't feel
because Cuervo can be an alcoholic drink. Hashtag Sonny Clark does not make any sense. I'm sorry. Hashtag the Podfather does. I get it. Hashtag Bryce would have something. Dude, honestly, hashtag Obi had over 28K followers on just the name Obi alone.
Well, wait, hold on. Those weren't our Obi. Those were Obis from Obi-Wan Kenobi on the Star Wars.
No. OBIE.
Right.
When you hashtag that, it says 28,000 views. Obi from Star Wars is OBI. That's different.
No, but people don't know that. People
yes,
don't
they
know
do.
that.
The ones
no,
who are smart do.
No, they don't.
Look. Look.
But I put it on there.
Listen to me.
I'm worried about your heart, being broken, so I updated it for you and everything.
Listen. Hey, I'm just saying. Look, I do movie reviews, right? And I got a hashtag. By the way, things that actually work: hashtag Reels, hashtag Shorts, hashtag Viral. Those draw over billions of viewers.
Okay.
So
I'll let you put the show up and you do.
But also, shut up. Just saying. Look, if I'm talking about, I don't know, the movie Major League, right? I can hashtag Cleveland. I can hashtag Indians. I can't hashtag Cleveland Indians for some reason. But thank you. But also, if I hashtag loser, that's got over 1 billion views. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Listen, I am not. I'd rather hire Nisha Davis to do all that. I don't do that. I am old school. If someone wants to do it to help me get more views or do it,
I'm
wonderful.
trying to help you.
Well, like I said, but you won't do it yourself. So what the hell?
I did it myself on your thing last night.
Yeah, well, I added it for you. Don't be so butthurt today. You're.
I gotta go to work, man.
You gotta go to work now. Now you're really butthurt. You gotta go to work and you weren't happy.
I gotta take out a lot of people who are spending money when they shouldn't be.
Get your ass out of here. I'll talk to you
I got more to say now. I'm pissed. I'm fired.
So you're gonna be late. I love that. Yeah,
I'm gonna be late. I'm just not gonna get to work as early as I want to and enjoy my time.
I know I'm smarter than that some.
By the way, his shelf life ain't that long anymore.
Say that again.
Mike Ditka, his poor guy, his shelf life ain't that very much longer.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably
not. Look, I have a lot of fun coming on here and just fucking with you because it is what it is.
It's fun. It's fun. I don't take offense either. I don't take offense because of my cup, you know.
Yeah. If you're basing your life based on your cup, good luck with all that. Okay. Look,
Yeah.
hey, you still got the wobble video on there?
Do I have what?
You still got the wobble video on there?
What bit is the wobble one?
The wobble, the one I'm choking on, Mr. Wobble?
Yeah, but I'd have to go looking for it.
Because all I'm gonna say is this: dreams do come true.
By the way, do you know if Dante Smiley won last night or did Ajax win? Do you know?
I don't know. They probably have.
I know they had the match and that, you know, and
I don't follow what all the wrestling shows do. So
I'm just happily interested because of where Ajax is going, where he might go in his
well,
career,
because there's a little bit of nepotism there. Yeah, I get it.
Listen, there's a lot of nepotism going in the other direction as well.
I know. I mean, there's you know, I got to support my black champion. The other one is going to be I got to support the kid that I helped grow and things. So I get all that. Man, it's cool.
He actually wrestled with Booker T's thing for a little bit too. So
I mean, good for him. Here,
and Maya Friday, you know. So
here, I'll see if I can find out. Let's see here.
Yeah.
What have you done for me lately?
Well, anyway.
No, I'm still here. Hold on a second.
What, I got to be silent while you do
your
research? What the
silence.
That's
one thing you can never be. That's one thing you can never be.
Be silent?
If they duct tape your mouth, you'll eat your way right through there and talk about the Jaguars.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, you know, breaking news, right?
There is no breaking news, is there?
Oh, Lord have mercy. What a guy. I've had a great, by the way, yeah, sometimes, unfortunately, life throws the curveball.
Okay. Here you go. Ready? You ready?
Yeah.
1,487 days and done. I did everything I could be. I could be the OIW Universal Champion forever. Unfortunately, that's not a thing now. What a historic ride it was. As fans, y'all have seen me through the biggest moments and matches of my career so far as the Universal/International Champion. Hope y'all enjoyed because that was a once-in-a-lifetime run. Imitated, not duplicated. You're welcome.
Well, he's going to the slap league, by the way, in case you didn't know. I just laughed. Not because he won't do good. That's just the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Go in there and get bitch slapped, and literally as a sport, it just seems stupid to me.
Listen. If he gets reality smacked in his face, that's gonna happen. I love Dante, but that can happen. And again, hey, look, Sword Championship Wrestling. I was there when we were there. We were there when AJ walked in there at 13 years old and wanted to train to be a wrestler, and we watched him grow. Now he is going to be their guy for a while. Mm-hmm. So we'll see where this goes.
Exactly. It basically runs down. This is now a new run that might end up in how long it will go with Ajax. So Ajax won last night.
Well, I mean, the thing is that, you know, for it to be a success, you can't lose it next month.
Well, that's true. That's true. And I guess we'll figure that out. I'm sure there will be something up on that.
And by the way, Sir Mo can throw out any guy at him he wants, and hopefully it draws, and best of luck to him. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's a business, and they have to.
Absolutely.
And the show goes with or without you. It's moved on since I left, and they'll continue to thrive as best they're going to do on their terms. So,
you know, what is really great thing about this show? Okay, I have lined up of a lot of stuff to talk about. I mean, I still have it, so I'm going to keep the lineup for next week, and we'll end up talking about it. But I love the direction our show goes, because you just never know where it's going to go. So that's what's great about this show.
Well, you're welcome. The Pope does his part,
We were doing that long before you showed up, but I made it better. Props. It makes it more funner. I don't know if it's better, but I'll say it's more fun.
I brought you Nisa Davis. I mean, I brought you many people to come watch this show because I'm a draw.
I got news for you. I think she's a plant. I think she's a plant. She's a plant. You brought her on this show. You got her some flowers. You did something. You had no money because you bought her flowers or something. She's a plant. I don't.
You can't prove that.
I'm gonna have to find out who she is. See,
don't worry about that. But
I got. Hey, send me out a friend. Send me out a friend.
Don't do it.
Don't
do it. It's a
Facebook.
trap.
Yeah, I
It's
look
a trap.
like myself.
He's
He
gonna ask
doesn't
money
look
from you.
like
Don't do it.
himself.
Don't do it. He's gonna ask for money from you. He's a huckster.
Well, get your ass out of here. Get to work, and
Are you kicking me out now?
Yeah, I'm kicking you out now because I actually got to go into work.
Oh, it's all about you now, and then okay, I see how.
Well, wait. When hasn't it been about me?
Boy, you're not wrong about that.
We're out of here. Everybody take care.